Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Opening round of the U.S. Open today. Patrick Cantlay, the leader, after shooting a 5 under 65. Ludwig Oberg just 1 shot back. Rory McIlroy still on the course, only 2 back. Our Adrian Wojnarowski reports the Lakers will formally interview J.J. Redick for their head coaching job this weekend. Redick could become the new focus of the search. 2-time NBA champ, former Laker Michael Thompson likes that idea.
I don't know who they're going to hire, but I know his name is still in the mix. And Jeannie and Rob Pelinka had to ask me. I said, let's give JJ a shot. Let's see what the young mind, a fresh mind can do with this team. And I think he'd come in there and do a good job.
Michael Thompson on Unsportsmanlike. The Bengals signed center Ted Karras to a 1-year extension. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler reports Karras will earn $13.2 million over the next 2 years. Saints running back Alvin Kamara missed the last practice of mandatory minicamp today. NFL Network reports his absence is contract-related. The Stanley Cup Final hits Game 3 tonight in Edmonton, 8 Eastern on ABC. The Panthers lead the Oilers 2-0.
As humans, we like having options. One option you might like is speaking with a real person when you call about your credit card. With 24/7 live, U.S.-based customer service from Discover, everyone can talk to a real person anytime, day or night. Limitations apply. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride!
Welcome in Thursday edition of After Further Review. Musso in for Moscona. Alondra Villarreal in for me, technically, and Paul O'Neill here as always. Glad they're along for the ride. Glad you're along for the ride as well. Jam-packed 3 hours coming your way here on After Further Review. The Saints wrap up mandatory minicamp today, really wrapping up the first portion of their offseason here in 2024, and there is just no shortage of news coming out of Saints minicamp, whether it is contracts, whether it is absences, whether it is injuries and surgeries. We're going to get into all of it, whether it's Derek Carr having a great camp so far. We'll get into all of it in individual segments, and then as well with John Hendrix of the Saints News Network. He'll be here at 4:15 to talk all things New Orleans Saints with us there. We'll dive into some LSU football, of course, as well, and all's kind of quiet on the portal front here so far on this Thursday with LSU baseball, so we'll kind of take a step back and look at the first wave of what's happened with Jay Johnson's team in the portal and kind of what needs still remain as they get set to really enter that second wave as they have a pretty big rest of this week and weekend planned in hosting guys, obviously, there. So a lot to get to, and then the College World Series starts tomorrow, so Ben Mintz will do our picks, obviously, give you some betting angles for Omaha. So a lot to do and fired up to get to all of it. Of course, our opening segment brought to you by Bud Light, and that's where we're going to start. And we'll start with the New Orleans Saints, but more specifically with Juwan Johnson. Because, like I said, there's contracts we can talk about, whether it's Alvin Kamara or Taysom Hill. But the biggest news is Juwan Johnson needing surgery on his foot and being out indefinitely. So Adam Schefter was the first to have this report, and everyone's since kind of followed up on it with the same source. And when you look at timeline, what the source was quoted as saying was, out for some time, out for a good amount of time, something along those lines. The hope is that Juwan Johnson is ready for the opener against the Carolina Panthers on September 8th. That is the hope. That is far, far from a certainty. They're not going to have him for the start of training camp, obviously, and they don't know if they get him back during training camp. So we can talk about the injury as a whole here, and we will momentarily with the foot. We'll let you hear what Dennis Allen had to say, and then the options for the New Orleans Saints going forward at tight end, because it was a position where, quite honestly, they were pretty thin, and now losing Juwan Johnson, you get thinner, but you do have options and one wild card, but there's also a bit of unknown with the majority of those options. So let's first start with the injury itself. It's a foot. It needs surgery. Here's Dennis Allen after practice today.
It's really hard to say because there wasn't any sort of event. It's his foot. His foot was bothering him, and so he's unable to practice right now. But it really wasn't an event, so I'm not really sure exactly, how it happened. And then we'll just see what his availability is and when he becomes available.
Dennis Allen would kind of go on to say as well that, he mentioned there, 3 times that it wasn't an event. They can't pinpoint an actual play or event that it happened, that the foot just started bothering Juwan Johnson during OTAs last week and progressed up until this point, now needing surgery. And he kind of reiterated the timeline that they don't really have one. It's very up in the air. It's very fluid. So where do the Saints go from here? Well, the obvious answer is Foster Moreau. And Foster Moreau took the majority of the first team reps in camp, I should say in minicamp here on Thursday, to the last day, and by all accounts had a really good day. Foster Moreau is they're known in this situation. Veteran player, familiarity with Derek Carr, obviously, local guy as well, LSU from New Orleans, all those things. But is the complete tight end. You know what he can do with the ball in his hands, but also from an inline blocking perspective, Foster Moreau, they don't have worry there. So it makes sense that he slides in. After that, of course, you have Taysom Hill, who can play the tight end spot, but not to the same degree that somebody like Foster Moreau can. Then you start looking down the line. There's a few practice squad guys, obviously, that they have back there that can definitely fill, the body role, obviously, while they're, off the practice field now. But when they get back on it in training camp, you have that option. And then there's Dallin Holker. And Dallin Holker's extremely intriguing because we've been talking about him a lot since the Saints signed him as an undrafted rookie. And the caveat that everybody looked at, I remember filling in for Matt the Monday after the draft, and we spent an entire segment on Dallin Holker because there was a ranking, I believe it was from CBS Sports, or it might have been from NFL.com, where they went through and ranked the best undrafted rookies at each position. And Dallin Holker was the best tight end ranked. So, immediately from there, you look at it and go, all right, that's a guy you expect to compete to make this team. And then you see the financial commitment that the Saints make to him, which is $235,000 guaranteed to an undrafted rookie. And that, again, drives it home that, okay, this is a guy that you expect to make the team. Then tight ends coach Clancy Barone goes on the record during minicamp saying that they view Dallin Holker as an 8th-round draft pick, somebody that should have been drafted and fell into their lap. Again, you say, okay, that guy should make the team. And he probably will. By all accounts, he's had a great time during rookie minicamp, during OTAs, had his best day, according to multiple reports, here on Thursday. But Dennis Allen, when he met with the reporters, did kind of talk about still the unknown with Dallin Holker.
As I recall, there was some competition for the player. Exactly what that was, I'm not sure. But I do know that there were some other teams that were interested in him, and he felt like this would be a good opportunity for him. We got a couple of Colorado State coaches on our staff, so I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not. But yeah, look, he was certainly one of the guys in free agency that we targeted to go after once he wasn't available. Once he didn't get drafted.
So more on the unknown. What he kind of talked about is. And you hear this all the time in camp. We've played a lot of sound bites from Dennis Allen throughout OTAs, throughout minicamp, where he speaks on, they're not in pads. It's early. You can't really evaluate. There's not much to know. And that's where it comes in with Dallin Holker. The thing that they know about him is what he can do with the ball in his hands. He's a legit threat receiving from that spot, much like Juwan Johnson would be. I mean, Juwan Johnson's a converted receiver. Where they lack an understanding of what they might have in Dallin Holker is with the pads on, inline blocking, the physicality. Where is he with that? And they really won't know until they get into training camp and can put on the pads and can go full contact and have those team periods like that and really learn about the player more. And if he's the complete tight end package that they obviously hope for him to be, or if he is just more of that weapon in the passing game. Either way, he can help you here without Juwan Johnson and for the unlimited amount of time that you, or the unspecified amount of time that you don't have him. Whether it's, okay, you need a blocker, you can use Foster Moreau or Taysom Hill. You need somebody to really go out there and catch the ball, you could use Dallin Holker. Now, yes, you run the risk of becoming too predictable, obviously, there based on personnel, but he's a guy that you've committed a lot to financially. There's still that unknown, but you expect to contribute because of the commitments that you made, because of what Dennis Allen said, that cut the competition that there was for the player in free agency and things of that nature. So that's definitely an option. Then there's the wild card, and the wild card is Jimmy Graham. Because you look at the New Orleans Saints and you look at potential free agency and tight end, and it's a really soft market. That's why we'll talk about Taysom Hill's contract restructure. You look at that in this context where people can see that and be like, oh, maybe they did that to free up space for a tight end. They didn't need to do that to free up space for a tight end because there's no names. There's no names available really tight end wise that would command money in free agency. The Saints had plenty enough if they wanted to go sign somebody anyway. Jimmy Graham's the wild card for a lot of different reasons. Obviously, first and foremost is the interview he gave to Kat Terrell on Wednesday at ESPN, where he was asked about retirement and wouldn't close the door on a return to the New Orleans Saints. Jimmy Graham said something along the lines of, I'll retire when they want me to retire. If they want me to come back, I'll come back. If they want me to retire, I'll retire. I'll call them and let them tell me. Well, now the Saints might need you. And isn't timing a funny thing where he gives that interview and the very next day, it's announced that Juwan Johnson needs surgery. You could be reading too much into that. I could be reading too much into that, but it's hard to not make that comparison. It's hard to not make that inference, right? There's the familiarity aspect of it. We all know Jimmy Graham's, history with the New Orleans Saints. We don't need to run through that. He was with them last year in a limited role. Obviously, he'd have to come in and maybe start from behind and learn this new offense, or maybe he's known about this for a few weeks, and that's why the timing works out so well with that interview. And maybe he's been preparing. Who knows? I don't know that. You don't know that. Jimmy Graham knows that. And it remains to be seen if the Saints even go down that path with him. But that's the option in free agency, and that's the wild card really to this whole thing. Just because of the unknown with Dallin Holker. You know what you have in Jimmy Graham. Yes, he's an aging player, 37 years old. He'd be 38 in November. But it's a guy who the organization knows and can easily go in there and pick things up, and you don't need him every down. You could use him very much in a role like you did in 2023. They have options. The one thing that they don't have is Juwan Johnson for an indefinite amount of time. But I think why you can look at it and be like, man, they're really thin. They are, but the options that they have, they feel good about. You just have to figure out a little bit more about some of them. And if that's not to your liking, you have your wild card in Jimmy Graham, who has gone on the record and said, anytime they need me to come back, I'll be there. Pick up the phone, I'll be there. So they have options. And it'll be very interesting to see which ones they take going forward. Juwan Johnson needs surgery on his foot. He's out for an indefinite amount of time. The hope is he's back for the season opener, but we'll see. All right, grab a break, come back on the other side. Here it's a Thursday edition of After Further Review. Musso filling in for Moscona. When we come back, we'll flip it over, talk some LSU football next on AFR.
AFR.
It has been my pleasure to introduce you to Duplessis Builders. If you've been thinking about building a pool or remodeling the pool at your current home, you have got to discover Duplessis Builders. I could not be more impressed with Derek Duplessis, his team, his staff, and the care with which they go about building or remodeling your pool. One thing is for certain. If you've listened to the show for any length of time, when it comes to contractors, I don't endorse the contractors that are going to be the cheapest. I endorse contractors that are going to be the best, premium products. That is what Derek Duplessis does. Go to the website. Go to duplessisbuilders.net, duplessisbuilders.net. Look at the photos. Look at the quality of work that they do. It's gorgeous. But the bottom line is they will never cut corners or cut costs to give you an inferior project. They will walk away from a job before they do that. Experience Duplessis Builders. duplessisbuilders.net, duplessisbuilders.net.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
Brought to you by South Point Volkswagen. SouthPointVW.com. Y'all, it is a great time right now to get on by South Point Volkswagen, especially if you have if you're looking for a new vehicle, want to get the best deal for your trade-in. Right now, the trade-in and trade-up event going on at South Point Volkswagen. They have amazing deals. You can drive away in a Taos right now, the compact SUV, 0% for 60 months right now at South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland, southpointvw.com. Also great deals on Atlas and Crossport. They want your certified pre-owned vehicles, so get on by and trade them in at South Point Volkswagen.
Back here on a Thursday edition of AFR, Musso filling in for Moscona. Scone's back on Monday. They take Drew to one of his annual doctor's appointments. So Scone's doing that, and he will be back with you on Monday, catching up on everything that he missed. So you have me today and tomorrow, and I'm glad to have you along with me here. Let's switch gears, talk some LSU football. So, obviously, a lot has been made about the changes Brian Kelly made to his staff, specifically defensively, over the offseason. I mean, that has been a talking point really here since probably the middle of last season when things just started going quite poorly on defense. Nationally, since at least the end of last season. And there's been a lot of different angles to look at it, recruiting, on the field coaching, it's been broken down top to bottom. 247 Sports has thrown their hat into that ring now again. Brad Crawford over there put together a list of the top 24 most impactful hires of the offseason. And 2 of LSU's new defensive coaches made the list. I want to talk about each of them, but one of them a little bit more in depth. So Bo Davis, new defensive line coach for LSU, really focusing on the interior of the defensive line because, again, they brought Kevin Peoples along to work with the edge rusher. So Bo Davis came in at number 12. And Bo Davis is one of those guys that, I mean, obviously, look, everyone knows the history he had at LSU, Louisiana guy, the flirtation that was year after year with Bo Davis, and they finally bring him home. He's a guy whose reputation, supersedes him. I don't need to tell y'all that. We know. Through all the history that we just went through, we know that. He came in at number 12, and then Blake Baker came in at number 8 on the list. When looking at Bo Davis and the write-up, we'll talk a little bit about that. Talked about, him coming in to help out LSU's pass rush and things of that nature. The 3 national championship teams he was on staff for under Nick Saban, both at LSU and at Alabama. But where they really kind of went in on was the 3-year stint he spent with Sark over at Texas. And mentioning that he helped the Longhorns finish second in the Big 12 this past season in sacks and TFLs. That really kind of kickstarted them, going into their inaugural college football playoff there, and just complimented the whole defensive line as a whole up front with Baron Sorrell, Ethan Burke, Byron Murphy, and Tavondre Sweat. It controlled the line of scrimmage and really developed under Bo Davis. And that's what I kind of want to talk about. Because the one thing they didn't mention there is what we've talked about so much with him was the recruiting prowess. And there's 2 ways to look at that so far at LSU, because that absolutely matters when you talk about the impact of Bo Davis to Brian Kelly and LSU staff and the LSU football program. And like I said, I think there's 2 ways you can look at that. You can look at it with what happened in the transfer portal this cycle, where they missed on, Simeon Barrow and what's the kid's name from TCU? I'm blanking. It doesn't really matter. He's not here. He's at Oklahoma. And you could say, well, Bo Davis was supposed to be this great recruiter. And I think it's been well documented now that there were obviously other things that those guys wanted besides just being recruited in the NIL space and all of that. That's been well documented. But you can look at it that way, or you can look at it and say, defensive line is a major strength of the class, the next 2 classes in Louisiana, and LSU's in on all of them. And nationally. Look at the defensive tackles, the defensive linemen that LSU's been bringing onto campus here. It's 4 stars, 5 stars, left and right. And they're in on them all. So the recruiting aspect of it is already working. What's going to be really interesting for Bo Davis this year to see his impact, because like I said, I think you're seeing it recruiting, is the on-field development. Because we know what LSU's defensive tackle room is. Jacoby and Guillory is your most veteran guy, and they're very pleased with him in the middle, but you still want to see more consistency in him take the next step. You bring in Gio Paez, you bring in JVR Suggs, all those guys as well. Obviously, Dominic McKinley from the high school ranks coming in. You've moved players from the offensive line over to the defensive line. That's where the impact I'm most curious to see Bo Davis. What impact can he have in developing those guys on field to where they are SEC caliber defensive tackles that can help LSU control the line of scrimmage? Because LSU doesn't have a Byron Murphy on this team. a guy who's going to be the 16th overall pick in the draft. You don't have that guy. You don't even have T'Vondre Sweat, who was a second-round pick and 38th overall. That guy's not here. Now, you did have 3 defensive tackles drafted, so you've already seen development at LSU. How can Bo Davis bring it along in a short amount of time and have these guys ready to go? That's where the impact will really be measured for 2024 for him. When you look at Blake Baker, obviously, you knew he would land on this list. And for him to land in the top 10 makes an awful lot of sense. The turnaround that he had at Missouri, it's been well documented. Top 25 nationally in scoring defense, holding teams to under 21 points per game, all of that. And you're looking for him to come in and immediately have success at LSU. And what everybody's going to look at there is how he uses Harold Perkins, because that's been a question really since Harold's freshman season ended. How is LSU going to use him? And I'm not here to have that conversation. We've had that ad nauseum, and we'll continue to have that conversation throughout the summer, throughout camp, and throughout the season. What I'm most interested in, and that does play a factor in it, but with Blake Baker, is something that he's talked about so much, and that's molding the defense to the strengths of his players. How he's able to do that. Because you obviously need development at certain positions on this team. Defensive line's one of them. We just talked about that. But obviously in the secondary as well, because you have a lot of young guys who are going to be asked to contribute. You're going to have a nice mix in the secondary of young and veteran. When you look at a guy like Jordan Gilbert, but you look at the freshman like a Javian Toviano who contributed so much late in the year coming back for his sophomore season. You'll just have that nice mix. And you do have depth there. But how are they able to, mold the defense, put their guys in the best position to succeed? Because that is something that Blake Baker has just preached over and over since he's come back to LSU. It's something you heard him preach over and over when he was the linebackers coach at LSU in 2021, was putting his guys in the best position to succeed. So, look, like I said, yes, the Harold Perkins conversation factors into that because you obviously want him in the best position to succeed because he's your best defensive player. But as a whole, when it comes to scheme and things of that, how Blake Baker handles that, that's something I think that's just interesting from a 10,000-foot view, not kind of honing in on certain guys. And it's all going to work hand in hand. Bo Davis getting those guys ready to go up to speed to be capable SEC defensive linemen is going to go hand in hand with being able to, what they can handle, hand in hand with what position you can put them in Blake Baker's defense to go have the most success. Everyone has said it. I'll just be the next in line. LSU doesn't have to have this dramatic turnaround on defense. They just can't be the worst defense in school history like they were arguably in 2023. Because you're going to have enough on offense to be more than serviceable on that side of the ball. You need marked improvement. Not complete overhaul turnaround, marked improvement on defense. And LSU will have a chance to have a really successful season and meet a lot of their goals that they set out. But more national acclaim for the staff that Brian Kelly has put together. Bo Davis coming in at number 12. Blake Baker coming in at number 8 on 247 Sports top 24 most impactful hires of the offseason. All right, we're going to grab a break. Come back on the other side. We'll go around the SEC. The Saints, they restructured Taysom Hill's contract. Big deal. They do that all the time, right? Right. But the timing of this one is notable. And it leaves the Saints with a few options for what they could be up to next with more than doubling their available cap space. We'll talk about that next on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-001-752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. I love sharing 5-star Google reviews. Here's one from Ricky Gomez, who said Chris, his technician, was very professional and knowledgeable during the HVAC evaluation. He provided details and recommendations in a clear and concise manner. That's one of the things that always stands out. If you're having an issue with your AC or your heater, and River City's 1 Hour Air sends out a technician for an evaluation, they're going to explain your options to you. And that may sound simple, but like none of it, like I don't know anything about an HVAC, neither do you. Let's be honest. So whenever they go get up in your attic or they go look at your HVAC unit on the side of your house and they come talk to you, like they're going to explain very clearly what's happening and your options to remedy it. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. 752-0001.
When things heat up, you don't just want a cold one. You want the coldest one. The cold lagered, cold filtered, cold packaged one. Mountain Cold Refreshment. Coors Light. Choose chill.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana.
Make up your mind. Decide to...
After further review with Matt Moscona.
Hey, we're brought to you by Parish Restoration, Mold Zero, Pure Restoration, Parish Restoration, all the same thing. My business partners, Ryan Terrier, Richard Tilley, had heard me for years talk about Jim Woodworth and Pure Restoration, and so they went and merged, and everything came under the Parish umbrella. So it's still the same patented non-toxic dry fog treatment, kill mold, remove odor, great sanitization process as well. Like a lot of businesses and schools hire Parish Restoration on a retainer to come dry fog every year, like before the school year, for example, to make sure their building is completely sanitized for the kiddos before they come back to school. So it's a great time to do that now during the summer. They do large commercial and industrial jobs. As a matter of fact, Parish Restoration dry fogged a 250,000 square foot building in Louisiana, one of the largest buildings in the state. So it doesn't matter if it's a single family residential home or a gigantic commercial building, they can help. You want to kill mold, remove odor, other harmful pathogens, parishbuilt.com. Hit the restoration tab on the homepage for Parish Restoration.
Rolling along on a Thursday edition of After Further Review. The annual cap gymnastics season for the Saints has obviously come and gone. Like, that is past. They got sufficiently in cap compliance, $5 or so million there. Plenty enough to operate throughout the season. If they needed to add someone late, all of those things. We looked at all the free agent ads that they made. There's a lot of veteran guys on team-friendly deals, all those types of things. And it looked like the Saints kind of starting to actually plan a little bit more toward the future, getting back into a more regular cap compliance than they normally would be, especially after COVID, dismantled the salary cap like it did. And then came Thursday morning. And the Saints announced that they had restructured Taysom Hill's contract yet again. It's the familiar, formula that they use. Restructure the contract, convert a portion of it into a signing bonus, all in all, void year on the end, increase the cap hit for the next year, all the things that we know that the Saints do. And what it did was it freed up $6.6 million in salary cap space, more than doubled what the Saints had, which was about 5.4. So now you're looking at the Saints with over $12 million in cap space. Again, this is not a move that they needed to make. They could have easily gotten by with what they had throughout the season. So that opens up a lot of intriguing questions, doesn't it? Number one, why did they do this? And is a move incoming? I think it's easy to look at this and say, well, with the injury to Juwan Johnson, maybe it had something to do with that. And we mentioned that a little bit earlier in the show. Not necessarily. They didn't need to. The tight end free agent market is extremely soft. And if they go that route, Jimmy Graham looks like the most obvious choice there. But the market's soft, and with the $5.4 million they had free, they could have signed somebody. So I think if you're looking for them to make a move, a lot of eyes are going to go towards safety, and a lot of eyes are going to go towards Justin Simmons, and you've seen that plenty already. And I'll come back to that because I think while that's obviously an option, there's another option the Saints could go in free agency. The third possibility is they're continuing to plan for the future. Like, the Saints don't have to make a move with this newfound cap freedom. Any money you don't spend rolls over to the next year. And if you're actually trying to make life easier on yourself, this is a move that would have helped you do that. Now, that being said, that's the reason you would free up this cap space without making a move. That's the reason. But I'll still ask the question, why would you do this if you weren't going to make a move? Like, why would you free up that much if you didn't have eyes on something? The Saints feel, we've seen them in win now mode too often for this to just be that type of move. We've seen them go all in too often for this to just be a money-saving move for the future. It very much feels like they have eyes on someone, that they covet someone. Could that be Justin Simmons? Maybe. And look, that's a guy who you were priced out of for the large majority of this, and you still necessarily aren't totally there. That's a guy who made $14 million plus last year in his final season with the Broncos before they released him. He's not going to get that. I think that's clear. The market softened on him. He's about to be 31 years old. The safety position's kind of being devalued anyway in the NFL. And the fact that he's still on the market coming off of a second-team all-pro season where he can still produce tells you teams are not looking to sign him to some long-term lucrative contract. He needs to take a pay cut, and he hasn't been necessarily willing to do that. That's still, you still might be priced out of him because of that. Maybe not. But you have Tyrann Mathieu, you have Jonathan Abram, you have Howden as well. And they've kind of raved about the safety position a little bit here throughout OTAs and minicamp. Now, the other caveat to that is Dennis Allen, I believe it was at owners meetings, did say, and I meant to pull this cut and I didn't do it, did say that if there was a position they still felt a little unsettled, don't worry about it, Alondra. I don't remember even when it was. Did say safety was the position that they could see someone else to add. He was asked, is there a position where you could see adding another body? And he said maybe safety. So that's why Justin Simmons immediately comes into this. But can you, even with the $12 million and him not budging much on the market, it looks like, is there somewhere you could meet in the middle and get there? You freed up enough space to offer maybe more than you could, maybe. The other thing is another veteran offensive lineman. Is there a guy they covet? Like, I still don't think the Saints can afford David Bakhtiari, but is it somebody like him that they covet? And here's why I bring that up, because you've seen them run Fuonga at left tackle and Trevor Penning at right tackle. You won't truly know until you get into training camp how that's going to work, when they can throw the pads on and go full contact and all of those things. Okay, say Fuonga's doing well at left, Trevor Penning's still struggling at right. Could you move Fuonga over to right and sign a veteran left tackle with this newfound cap space? Sure, you could. Is it going to be somebody like a David Bakhtiari? Probably not. But again, he's not going to get the same contract that he had in previous years where it was over $20 million. I think it's very easy to look at the moves that the Saints made with Taysom Hill's contract and say, okay, they covet somebody. Because while, yes, they've taken their steps to make good and get closer and getting into cap compliance easier for the future. This would be a huge step in doing that. It doesn't feel like that's what they're doing because they've been so all in and win now. They have to have someone that they covet. Is it the shoot for the moon type guys that everybody wants it to be? The highest priced guys that are left, like a Justin Simmons at safety or a David Bakhtiari or somebody like that? Probably not. Maybe. Probably not. But I think there's definitely eyes for something and someone for the New Orleans Saints in then doing this. Now, the other half of this is Alvin Kamara. Because that was the news after Taysom, after Juwan Johnson. Alvin Kamara leaves minicamp, skips the final practice, and it's due to contract. And that has been widely reported. His agent confirmed it to Ian Rappaport that it was over a contract dispute. Alvin Kamara is under contract to 2025, but there is no guaranteed money for Kamara in 2025. So it's basically a contract year for him. He's made it known plenty that he wants to stay in New Orleans. The Saints have tried to restructure that deal with him. That's the last major cap hit on the books that could free up more space for them if they got that restructured. But it seems like Kamara wants a new deal. And that's a little bit where the disconnect comes into. So they might not be done freeing up space either. That's why you look at this and go, okay, there's got to be somebody or something that they still covet going forward into the 2024 season. Right now, they sit with over $12 million of cap space, which is more than enough for them to make their way through 2024. What happens with Alvin Kamara's contract now really comes into the forefront for the New Orleans Saints, and I'm sure we'll get answers on that throughout the offseason. But for now, they restructured Taysom Hill. Guess it's always cap gymnastics season with the New Orleans Saints. They never sleep when it comes to that stuff, and they have over $12 million in space. We'll see where they go from here on out. All right, we got to grab a break here momentarily. First, before we do that, let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference. The Ole Miss Rebels.
On Thursday, it was announced that Ole Miss has hired Joel Mangrum as their new pitching coach. Mike Bianco relinquishing the duties of pitching coach. It was something that always kind of fell under him. That was one requirement, or I should say one requirement of the list of candidates, is that they had collegiate and professional experience, and Mangrum fits that to a T. He comes to Ole Miss after spending the last 6 seasons in the Cleveland Guardians organization and the last 4 as their minor league pitching coordinator in college. Previous stints at ULM, New Mexico State, Austin Peay, and a couple of junior colleges as well. Joel Mangrum, the newest addition to Mike Bianco's staff in Ole Miss.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
A trio of baseball stories here, actually, in around the SEC. Didn't mean to do that. Alabama outfielder Parker Pichter has entered the NCAA transfer portal. He announced that on social media. Played in just 1 season over there in Tuscaloosa. 3 games this year as a freshman, just 2 at-bats, 1 hit, so a .500 average. Entered Alabama after playing high school ball in the state of Michigan. Was the #1 overall prospect in the state of Michigan, according to Perfect Game. Now will seek greener pastures.
The Florida Gators.
And the College World Series gets underway tomorrow. Florida, however, does not play until the final game of the opening round on Saturday. And Kevin O'Sullivan has made his pitching plans known. They will start true freshman Liam Peterson in game number 1 versus Texas A&M. Peterson has been the Gators' best pitcher down the stretch, and that's the reason O'Sullivan, has just kind of continued to start him there. Pretty good season overall for the freshman. Started out a little clunky, but he, as I said, settled in down the stretch. Freshman All-SEC honors. He's been lights out during the final month, dating back to April 19th. 5 appearances, 4 starts. Leads the Florida pitching staff with a 3.50 ERA in 25 2/3 innings. He gets the ball against the Aggies to start the Gators' stay in Omaha. That is around the SEC. This is a Thursday edition of AFR. Musso filling in for Moscona. We're going to grab a break here, and on the other side, come back. LSU basketball. We've talked a little bit about them this week on the show, and quietly, Matt McMahon has put together a really nice offseason on the recruiting trail, and today you saw the fruits of that in ranking form by one national service. Want to touch on that and give some just kind of broader thoughts on the offseason as a whole as Matt McMahon gets set to head into year number 3 at LSU with certainly heightened expectations. So we will do that on the other side here of this break. It's Thursday's AFR and more next.
AFR.
If you're a business owner, you're going through the hiring rat race, and it's just been tough, especially since COVID. It's been that way for a lot of businesses in basically every different industry. Finding qualified people that can or want to work that will stay. If you've had those issues, you need Glow Resources. Glow Resources is not a last resort. They're not a temp staffing agency. Glow Resources works for you, the business owner. And they want to grow that relationship to where you have longevity with them. At Glow Resources, when they place one of their employees within your company, they have a 93% retention rate. And if for whatever reason the employee that they hire for you doesn't work out within 60 days, they'll find you a new employee for free or give you a prorated refund. It's Glow Resources. GLO, glowresources.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. and backed by the one-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644, 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
Roger about Michelli weighing and measurement. Michelli.com with 30 offices across 11 different states. If you weigh or measure something, Michelli sells, services, rents the products used to weigh and measure. No matter where you are, you can ship your precision measurement devices to Michelli and they'll calibrate them for you, send them back, or they'll just come to your office, pick them up, and bring them back. They can also do on-site calibration. If you have equipment that can't leave or you don't want it to leave, they can come do on-site calibrations as well with their mobile calibration labs. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement, online at Michelli.com. Louisiana-born, Louisiana-owned and operated for 76 years. They've continued to grow, expand their footprint while maintaining that local ownership, local feel, handshake deals, face-to-face sales. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. They're also hiring. Check out the careers tab at Michelli.com. Again, online at Michelli.com, Michelli.com.
All righty. So ESPN released their final recruiting rankings for the basketball class of 2024. And LSU was noticeably present here. And it's a giant hat tip to Matt McMahon and his staff for the class that they've really assembled. LSU checked in at number 10. So heading into year 3, you're looking at a top 10 recruiting class just when it comes to high school players for Matt McMahon and LSU. And when you consider where the program was when he took over with all the sanctions and everything that was there, and he had to battle through that, and they still actually have the scholarship, sanction on them for the final time here in 2024, and it's not stopping him. He's just going through. But you can see the pitch has been able to be improved because the sanctions are now, for the most part, gone. Or at least you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and he can use that. And then also the season that they had last year where they made postseason play, albeit the NIT, but got to 9 wins in the conference, had a marquee win against Kentucky and the comeback against South Carolina and things of that nature. You can see the tangible improvement of the program. And for them to get the number 10 ranking like it's a nice reward. And for it to just be in the high school class, especially, because that can show you, and I know you have the one and done thing in college basketball and whatnot, and could some of these guys be that? Sure. I mean, you look at Curtis Givens, he's the 39th ranked player by ESPN in the entire country. I mean, Victorious Miller, who they got, a top 50 guard by ESPN. They really harped on Victorious Miller in their write-up But Robert Miller also there. I mean, he comes from Montverde Academy and won a national championship. His team went undefeated. Like, all of those guys are top 85 players in the country. So could some of them be a one and done? Sure. Fine. Maybe. Or you look at that and say, man, that's a great, adds to an already good foundation that LSU has, makes it great. And you can hopefully develop some of those players and sustain success at LSU. It definitely heightens the expectation. And that's just high school. That doesn't count Jordan Sears out of the portal or Cam Carter out of the portal. Or they just had Coleman Hawkins on campus, who's the #1 ranked uncommitted player in the transfer portal. And you've seen them address it at multiple different spots. They really needed help in front court with some size. They got that with Robert Miller. And maybe Coleman Hawkins adds to that as well, but Noah Boyd as well. It's exciting around LSU basketball again right now. And I'm really fired up to watch Matt McMahon and that squad come November, come year 3. You threw out year 1, and you saw development there. And now in year 3, heading into year 3, you have a top 10 class coming to campus. The arrow is pointing firmly up for LSU basketball and Matt McMahon. And look, you got a nice schedule too. We're starting to see that come out. Florida, you're going to host Florida State in the SEC ACC Challenge. That's going to be fun to see as well. So arrow pointing up along with expectations. There's going to be a lot of people wanting an NCAA tournament appearance for LSU basketball this year. And that's a fair expectation. And it's something that I do think that they can reach. All right, we'll grab a break, come back on the other side. All quiet on the portal front right now for LSU baseball. So let's look back at the first wave and what holes remain as they enter their second wave. That'll follow SportsCenter on the other side of this break.
AFR.
We're brought to you by First South Farm Credit. Go to firstsouthland.com. If you're thinking of buying land, go to firstsouthland.com. They're the best. First South Farm Credit. They've been in business since 1916. You've heard our buddy Ben McDonald talk about his experience. Ben's got some hunting property in Mississippi. Financed that land through First South Farm Credit. It doesn't matter if you live in Houma and you want to buy land in Mississippi, or if you live in Baton Rouge and you want to buy land in Zachary, if you live in Monroe and you want to buy land in Alexandria, or wherever it may be, in Louisiana or any of the 48 contiguous states, First South Farm Credit can help you buy land. That recreational property, maybe your hunting property, if it's the property to build your dream home, or if it's 1,000 acres for agriculture, First South Farm Credit should be your first call. Go to the website at firstsouthland.com. That's firstsouthland.com. One more time, firstsouthland.com.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Brack, your #1 park system in the nation.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. The U.S. Open at Pinehurst. First round today. Patrick Cantley is the leader after shooting a 5-under-65, which ties the Open record at Pinehurst. The Lakers will interview J.J. Redick over the weekend for their head coaching job. That reporting from ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. For the last few months, Redick has hosted a podcast with LeBron James. ESPN's Brian Windhorst.
The thing with J.J. Redick is he's got these interviews, basically, that he's already done with LeBron, where he's broken down Laker game film, broken down the way they should play. In a lot of ways, that's been his interview for the Laker job, not just in X's and O's, but in his relationship with LeBron James.
Brian Windhorst on Get Up. ESPN's Pete Thamel reports the Big 12 may sell conference naming rights to a title sponsor. The potential revenue could be hundreds of millions of dollars over the length of the deal. Saints tight end Juwan Johnson will have foot surgery next week. The hope is he'll be ready for the start of the new season in September. Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight, 8 Eastern on ABC. Panthers lead the series 2-0 over the Oilers.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming on Friday. I'll tell you why the Mavs will have to make major changes if they want to win a title with Luka. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
Hour number 2 off and running here on a Thursday edition of After Further Review. Musso in for Moscona. Alondra Villarreal in for me. Paul O'Neill just here hanging out, being himself like he does, talking everybody's head off. We're glad you're with us here as well on this Thursday. 1 hour in the books and 2 more to go, and we still have a lot to get to. John Hendrix from the Saints News Network will be here in the next segment with us. Talk all things Saints. Saints wrapped up mandatory minicamp today. No shortage of news. Juwan Johnson injury. Taysom Hill contract. Alvin Kamara peacing out because of his contract. Derek Carr had a great camp. Dallin Holker showed out today. There's a lot to get into with John, so we'll do that in the next segment. And then College World Series starts tomorrow. So Ben Mintz will be here with us. We'll kind of go deep dive, look at the field, give you our gambling picks as well for the opening round games there in Omaha. Really good field, ACC, SEC challenge. So we'll go through all of that. And we have to make fun of the Big 12 later on in the show at the bottom of this hour as well because, well, they're going to sell naming rights to their conference, and the proposed names are just horrible. So we'll get into that a little bit as well. But where I want to start, hour number 2, is with some LSU baseball. So it's portal season. Jay Johnson's been doing work, obviously bringing in 3 guys in 2 days to start this week for LSU. And there's many more on the horizon that are on official visits now, will be on official visits this weekend. You can expect plenty more portal news. But for today, it's pretty much kind of gone quiet. So I think it's a great chance to look back at the first wave of both entrants for LSU and additions out of the portal, and then look at what remains for the Tigers. And for what it's worth, when we're talking portal, one of the biggest additions came Tuesday night, really, and that was Zach Cohen, the Wofford ace. He will be with us on AFR tomorrow. So be sure to tune in for that. Now, 9 players currently in the portal for LSU. Run through them really quickly. Paxton Kling, Sam Dutton, Aiden Moffitt, Cam Johnson, Micah Bucknam, Nick Bronzini, Derek Mitchell, Austin Rolick, Zeb Ruddle. Those were the 9 that left. You brought in 3. Ace reliever out of South Florida, Chandler Dorsey. Slugger and versatile position player out of Indiana State in Luis Hernandez. Guy has spent time at first base, at catcher, and designated hitter. Hit .359 with 23 homers and 73 RBI in 2023. The caveat with him is he is draft eligible, so there is no guarantee that you get him through the draft to campus. And plenty of people have asked, why would a guy who's a draft risk or draft eligible even transfer? It's a simple answer. It's the same thing as why top flight high school recruits sign with a college team. If you don't get your number, if it doesn't work out in the draft, you need your fallback plan. If you're looking at a guy like Luis Hernandez, yes, he's done great things in college baseball already and likely will hear his name called at some point in the draft. Is it high enough for him to go? That remains to be seen. But let's say it doesn't work out in the draft. You transfer to a bigger program on a bigger stage to really increase your draft stock going forward. LSU's been through this before. In the 2022 offseason, you saw Jack Pineda sign with LSU and leave in the draft. He was a shortstop. You saw Carter Young from Vanderbilt, shortstop, same thing, sign with LSU, leave in the draft. So you go through this. It's just the same thing as a high school guy. So that's where you are with Luis Hernandez. But I love that. I love that pickup, and we can get in a little bit more why. And then, of course, as we said, Zach Cohen, ace from Wofford, in the boat late Tuesday night, and it was made public with him confirming it and, multiple outlets and everything on Wednesday. And that's a very intriguing prospect as well. So rather than just kind of go through individually on these guys, because I've done that and everyone's done that, but if you do want my thoughts on that, I recommend Musso at the Box, because we did do a couple episodes where we did go in depth on each of those 3 guys as a whole. I want to look at the group and look at what LSU is doing in the transfer portal, because I like it a lot. LSU has addressed need so far in the portal, and they're not done. There's plenty of need left. But when I look at issues that plagued LSU this season, closing out games is one of them. Now, they got better at that the back half of SEC play, and it really allowed them to make their run. But closing out games was a problem. We don't have to run through them all. Florida, Arkansas, Alabama, you know the list. You close those out, your postseason's different. Will they go get a guy like Chandler Dorsey, who was an ace closer for South Florida? 8 saves, a couple wins. The fastball can get up to 98. That's addressing a need with a premium player. And that's ultimately your goal. You can end up taking guys just to take guys, especially when you have as much turnover as LSU is going to have and has already had in the portal, and you haven't even gotten to the draft yet. Expect the most turnover in the Jay Johnson era so far. And you're well on your way to that. So you could easily fall into that trap of taking guys to take guys, because you have to replace what you've lost. They haven't done that yet. That's one massive need that you address there. And we'll see. Chandler Dorsey was on this show earlier this week and talked about, trying to add a couple more pitches and see if he can't transition into a starter. It's the conversation we've had with Griffin Herring. Starters get paid more than relievers. But if he's given an opportunity to start and it doesn't work out, you've still addressed a need at the back end of your bullpen. At least in theory, on paper. You have to see how it plays out, but that kid faced elite competition this year. Teams that are in Omaha, teams that were in super regionals, and dominated them all. Then there's Zach Cohen. What was another problem for LSU this year? Game number 3. Zach Cohen can absolutely address that. 100% address that. Is he going to be a Friday night guy? Probably not. It's going to be a Saturday guy? Probably not. Probably game 3. The way I comped it on Musso at the box was best case scenario, that guy shows up in his freshman year, Eric Walker. Best case scenario. He's a guy who relies a lot on command, not overpowering stuff from the right side, 3-pitch mix, all of them for strikes. You saw it work there. You've also seen that not work. And that could be your worst case scenario. It's probably somewhere in between with that guy. And you don't need 3 starters. That's a misconception. You don't need that. LSU didn't have 3 starters in 2023. They had Paul Skeens, Ty Floyd. That was really it. And they had a chance to win the SEC on the final day of the regular season. And then they won a national championship. Tennessee used an opener for the majority of this SEC slate on Friday night. They won a share of the crown. Kentucky's number 3 had an ERA over 6. They won a share of the crown. You don't need 3 starters. It's a luxury. And Zach Cohen could give you that luxury and help improve your lot in game number 3. Now, that being said, not all of LSU's game 3 problems were on the mound. A lot of it stemmed from runners in scoring position and not executing there. The run rule games were bad, but outside of that, you pitched well enough to win for the majority of your game 3s and didn't. But that addresses a need and one of your biggest problems on paper. That's great. And then when I look at LSU, you're having to replace Tommy White. You're likely going to have to replace Jared Jones. Don't know that for sure. That's over 50 home runs. You need pop. Well, Luis Hernandez can potentially give you that. And you've got some guys in your recruiting class too. But that's one place they're not done. When I looked at LSU's transfer portal needs, I looked at infield because you could potentially only return Stephen Milam. And again, a guy like Luis Hernandez could check that box, played some first base. Power bat, because you're replacing Tommy White. You're like, you don't have that 20 home run guy in your lineup right now. Hernandez could possibly fill that. And then starting pitching, because they're going to go do that. And I mean, the name that everyone's focusing on now is Zach Root, who is the number 2 starter at East Carolina. And LSU's in on him and all those things. And a lot of top programs are in on him. So those 3 still remain. Like, the needs haven't changed for LSU. They've added some great players, and they've done it with premium guys at needs. But the needs still don't change. You need another power bat. Like, that was the big outlier in the transfer class going into 2024, the 2024 season. LSU didn't add that guy for the first time under Jay Johnson. You added Jacob Berry his first offseason. You added Tommy White his second. But you had White. You had Jones. You had those guys coming back. You still had a lot. You had Travinsky. You had a lot of pop in that lineup. All those guys are gone. You need more. You don't have that 20 home run guy. So, yes, while Luis Hernandez is great, there's no guarantee there with the draft. So look for them to add more there. They're going to add somebody else to come in and compete for a starting job on the mound. The game starts and ends on the mound. You can liken that to quarterback. It's the same. Yeah, you have plenty of options there, but if you can get a guy who's got the experience, you bring him in. You did that with Zach Cohen. They'll do it with somebody else. I think they get one more. So those 3 are checked. The other thing is catcher. And we've had the Brady Neal conversation a lot lately, and it seems like the meetings with Jay Johnson went well with Brady Neal. He's not entered the transfer portal yet. And Jay Johnson casually slipped him in by name twice in his media availability on Tuesday when he was talking about next year's team. That has to be a good sign. Now, all that to say, things change. In that same media availability, Jay Johnson talked about having guys commit to come back in the meeting and then 3 days later call and say, actually, I'm not. So things change there. And your high school catcher is a draft risk. Blaze Priester out of junior college is a draft risk. Catcher is something that you need. And Luis Hernandez does check that box. But again, that's not a sure thing. There's the draft eligible aspect of that you have to take into account. So those are the 4 you still need. You've addressed some of them, but you still need more. Infield, power bat, starting pitching, catcher. Portal cycle rolls on for LSU baseball, and Jay Johnson will have you covered. right here on AFR and also Musso at the Box. So get subscribed if you have not already. Grab a break, come back on the other side. Saints, they wrap up mandatory minicamp. John Hendrix is here to talk about it next on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel, two beautiful hotel properties in Baton Rouge, the Watermark downtown, the Renaissance Southtown right there on Bluebonnet. And when it comes to hosting your event, both the Watermark and the Renaissance are perfect. The Watermark is a gorgeous, elegant spot in downtown Baton Rouge. That wedding reception, that smaller gathering, that meeting space, they can do it. They've kept so much of the history and tradition of that iconic building while modernizing it. The Gregory is a great restaurant inside of the Watermark as well. And then, of course, the Renaissance Hotel, Southtown, right there on Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge. It's more modern. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous hotel property at the Renaissance Hotel where they have meeting space that can accommodate up to 500 people, 7,000 square foot of meeting space, perfectly located right off of Bluebonnet and I-10. It's the Watermark and the Renaissance Hotels in Baton Rouge.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always...
I don't practice Santeria. I ain't got no crystal ball.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
Alrighty, back here on a Thursday edition of AFR, Musso in for Moscona. The Saints, they wrapped up mandatory minicamp today over down there in Metairie. John Hendrix of the Saints News Network joins us now to recap all the news of the day, and there was plenty to come out of Saints minicamp here today. He's on Twitter at John J. Hendrix if you want to give him a follow. John, we appreciate the time. How are you?
Man, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Hope you're doing well, too.
Absolutely. So, look, I do have questions actually about guys and how they did in minicamp and things of that nature, but I feel like we have to start with all the news, whether it's contract or injury related. Let's start with Juwan Johnson, kind of just take him in order of what kind of came out first. He needs surgery on the foot, indefinite amount of time that he's out. They hope to have him back for the opener, but no guarantee, obviously, there. Just kind of your thoughts on the state of the Saints tight end room now without Juwan Johnson.
Yeah, look, I mean, it was already a little bit questionable because they were missing Tommy Hudson, and then Michael Jacobson left practice a little bit earlier the other day, and he ended up coming back out there. But, in the same breath, Dall and Holkers look good. I think Foster Moreau has absolutely bulked up this offseason, and so I think he's looked pretty good too. But, outside of that, Taysom Hill was working with the tight end group today. And then you have Jacobson back in the mix. So, again, this is a little bit concerning because you look over during practice and you see, 2 or 3 players working with Clancy Barone, and it's like, what's going on here? So I would expect them to add to the room. Everything on Juwan I've heard, I think you're looking at a 6 to 8 week time frame roughly, and then, might not be ready for camp. And it's something that was bothering them this offseason in his foot. And so they just finally decided to address it. And, you're a little bit away from your first snap. So the hope is he's good to go when it comes to training camp and get some action in and then be ready to go for week 1.
You mentioned Dallin Holker, and obviously that's a guy that everyone's, kind of had eyes on really since the Saints took him as the undrafted free agent and committed the sum of money that they did to him. What has stood out about him in OTAs and minicamp?
Yeah, look, I think when he came on board, I said this is going to end up being everybody's fan favorite. And look, he's delivered in a lot of ways. I mean, he just seems to find a way to get open and find soft spots in the coverage. He makes great catches. It fits the Saints offense and what they're trying to do in attacking the middle of the field. He has good hands. I mean, he made a play today in the back of the end zone that was just something that I wish we could record that and see it because it would go viral and everybody would just get so hyped. But, we're not allowed to do that. But, man, I just think you get a guy who's come in here, is learning a lot from, again, Clancy Barone, their tight ends coach, who's worked with some greats in the past, Kyle Rudolph, Algie Crumpler, and some others there. And so I think he's somebody that is building upon what he's been doing, and he's just making plays out there. And so I think for him, it's just going to be, can he do some more of the blocking aspect? Because he's really good at attacking in the middle of the field and vertical game, and just real good hands on him.
You mentioned them potentially adding somebody. What are the chances that that's Jimmy Graham? Obviously, everyone's going to look at him with the familiarity and the interview that he gave to ESPN Wednesday about, if the Saints need me, I'm there, and they'll tell me when to retire or whatever. What are the odds that it is Jimmy Graham?
Yeah, I think if it was going to happen, it'd be closer to training camp, similar to last year. And the biggest thing, I know he's training for his row. And, is that something that he's going to risk playing football and then maybe get injured where he can't do that? I think that's the only thing that might hold him back. But, look, he's there for the Saints. And I think you look at Clint Kubiak as offensive coordinator, putting people in a position to succeed. I mean, I only think Jimmy Graham would just thrive in this offense. And so, he's going to be in shape when he shows up, and it would make sense. And so I think the Saints, to have the ball in their court, I think that's right. And it wouldn't surprise me because, you look at the other tight ends that are on the market, it's really slim pickings out there. I mean, they tried this UFL tight end out, Sal Canella, and we'll see what happens there. But, I would expect some roster movement to happen, especially as we get closer to training camp.
Well, the tight end market's soft, like you kind of said, so they didn't really need extra cap space to do that, but they've got it now after restructuring Taysom Hill's deal and clearing 6.6 and now have over $12 million in cap space. What do you make of that move? Is that them planning more for the future down the road, or do they have eyes on somebody that they covet in free agency?
I mean, it is possible to have eyes on somebody, and again, I don't know if people have followed, but this is something I reported back in February that Taysom Hill, Alvin Kamara were both in the plans for the Saints offense in 2024, and I know people ran wild with the trade speculation rejoining Sean Payton, but that was never an option on the table from everything I was told. And so, look, I think it shows even more commitment to Taysom Hill. He's lining up at multiple positions, including the backfield, taking tosses, lead blocker. I mean, Darren Rizzi, the special teams coach, said the other day that he's practically back up everything. And I mean, when you think about it, there are so many things that he does. And so I think it shows a good commitment to him for starters. And, for a player that's in his 30s, I think it's a respectable, a deal that he's going to end up having, as far as his future goes. With the restructure, it gives him some flexibility. I think if you're looking at a free agent, who comes to mind for me is Justin Simmons. I think that would just solidify and put a stamp on everything on the back end. Not saying they couldn't look at anybody else. I know the Hunter Renfrow stuff would make sense, but look, I got to be honest, the way Cedric Wilson and Equanimeous St. Brown are playing, I don't know if you need Hunter Renfrow anymore. And so I think Justin Simmons is your guy if they do make a play, or maybe you try to pay Kamara something a little bit more, but I know they are working towards the cap.
So that's obviously the next place to go is Alvin Kamara, because that is the other contract on the books with the big cap hit, and he obviously leaves minicamp today, skips the final day, and it's contract related. I mean, that's obviously been confirmed by multiple reports and sources to this point. What is the next step there between the Saints and Alvin Kamara? Is it an extension or is it a restructure?
Yeah, I think you might see some type of restructure. Because here's the thing is, he's on the hook right now next year, and the cap is about $30 million. There's no way they're going to pay that, right? I mean, it's just how these void years do. They escalate in the final years. And so I think where you're looking at it is the dead money is only like $11 million. And so about $18-19 million that he might be out of. And so I think if I'm the Saints and if I'm looking at this and trying to keep Alvin Kamara in the building, I'm trying to extend him for a couple of years and making sure that he gets the money. I don't think he should necessarily get anything close to Christian McCaffrey, but, I know that they have a strong vision for Alvin, that I think he's going to be on a rebound uptick this year and such. But, you got to work that out, and that's something that Mickey Loomis is going to do. But, he was there for walkthroughs today, but then obviously didn't partake in practice. And then, this is just unfortunate because for a team that, is on the uptick, to have a distraction like this in a way, it is a little bit concerning. But, I think it'll get itself worked out for training camp. And if he's not there for some reason, then maybe we'll hit the panic button. But I got to tell you, too, some of these other running backs are looking really good. And some of these that, you wouldn't think of, and some of the undrafted guys and some of the guys that are going in their second year. And, those touches can be up for grabs if Kamara's not in the mix.
It's going to be interesting to watch, the contract shakeout there with Alvin Kamara, because he's made no bones about it. He wants to stay, obviously, in New Orleans. Let's talk about some of the guys that are standing out. I want to come back to St. Brown and Wilson, and I actually want to touch on the running backs, too, now that you brought that up. But Derek Carr, you're seeing a lot with Derek Carr throughout this camp where he's had great showings kind of day in and day out. What is different? What have you noticed that's different about Derek Carr in this offseason, his second with the Saints, as opposed to his first?
Yeah, I think the comfort level. I mean, I think last year was a learning experience. I know a lot of last year was a learning experience for a lot of players. And, some players got away in the offseason and just needed to unplug and such because it was that tough. But, for Derek, I think it is catering an offense that fits his play style. And, like they said, once they changed things up late in the season and went more to this play action style attack, Derek put up solid numbers down the stretch. And, unfortunately the Saints didn't get in and it was too little too late. But I think what you're seeing is him getting the ball out quicker, which is going to lead to him not taking a lot more hits like he did last year. I think he's more on the same page with Chris Olave. Obviously it was a big connection today to end in the game sequence that they ran. And, look, I think early on, one of the things I wrote about is the fact that once, they had a missed connection, a missed pass, and he made it a point to go up to Chris and say, that's a bad ball on my part. And look, you see the chemistry gelling there. I think you just see everything kind of coming together for him and his comfort level, that they've got an offense that he's extremely intelligent and he fits, and that, it's only going to mean good things, hopefully, for the Saints.
Why is he a better fit in this offense as opposed to the one he played in last year? Because, it's 2 years in a row learning a new system, but the improvement just seems marked this year.
Yeah, look, it's a system familiar to what he's been running, right? I think that's the biggest thing. And so look, the Saints were running an offense that they had ran basically for about 16 years. And again, the use of more motion, him taking more snaps from shotgun or using all sorts of different decoys and shifts and all that, that's just going to bode well, because if you can get the defense off their game for just a half second, that means all the difference in the world. And I think with Clint Kubiak, he's bringing wrinkles in that are making the offense click and gel better. Like we saw a screen pass to Alvin Kamara yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, screens aren't something that happens. We saw a wheel route. I mean, that's something, two routes that can work really effectively, and to not put one of your best offensive players in a position like that last year and years before is a little bit concerning. But, for Clint Kubiak, I think he's figuring it out, and he's been intentional with everything. They've been, very intentional, delivered on how they work, what they're working on, and when they're working on it. And I think everybody in this offense is responding well, even the defense, because they're excited that they're seeing something different, and they're learning from it every day.
All right, John, I'll get you out of here on this one. Your time very much appreciated. You piqued my interest with the running back conversation there, because obviously that's a position for the Saints last year that was marred by injury throughout, and you just didn't get a lot of production there. What is standing out about the guys at the running back room so far here early on in the offseason?
Yeah, look, I think, first of all, I think Jamal Williams is in for a better year. And of course, we know Kendre Miller is probably going to get a lot more touches this season. But, where I say that is, you have some other guys that were on the roster hanging around last year. Your James Robinson, your Jordan Mims, guys that were on the practice squad. I mean, Jordan Mims is a guy who's been getting a lot of first-team looks, red zone looks. He's doing a lot of things in special teams, too. He's doing everything necessary to make sure he's in a position to try to make this roster. And so I think that's exciting. He's a guy that should be on the radar. I mean, coming out of college, the Saints wanted to get him, but Buffalo came to the table first. And once Buffalo let him go, the Saints pounced on him, and they were extremely excited about this guy. And so I'm not telling you he's going to be the starter. He's going to be doing this. But, again, it's one of those names that you keep an eye out on. But I like what I've seen from James Robinson, Jacob Caboti, their undrafted guy out of UL Lafayette. And so, look, I think ultimately it's Kendre and Alvin Kamara leading the load, and then Jamal Williams is going to be better and more efficient. But, you got to look at the guys behind him that, there's something to be said about that. And, of course, you can't overlook Taysom Hill taking some of those shares, too.
Yeah, I'll go Taysom. Line him up anywhere. Swiss Army knife. It's the old adage that we've heard for years now with Taysom Hill. John Hendrix, Saints News Network, also the host of Second and Saints podcast. Y'all give that a listen. Give it a subscription. Follow him on Twitter at John J. Hendrix. John, we appreciate the time and the insight, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have a good rest of your show. Thanks.
Absolutely. You do the same. That is John Hendrix. We appreciate the time. Saints, they put a button on mandatory minicamp today. We grab a break, but before that, a word about Shaw Bills.
Brought to you by Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. 18 locations in South Louisiana. Find the location nearest you at ShawBillsTire.com. Bumper-to-bumper auto service and name brand tires at wholesale prices. They will always find a way to get you the best possible price for the best possible tires on the road. That's what they do at Shaw Bills. And when they get you in by selling you the best tires, the cheapest price possible, they're going to treat you like family, and they're going to treat you so good you're going to keep coming back year after year after year every time you need anything for your vehicle. Tires rotated, oil changed, check engine light on, brakes squeaking, whatever's wrong with your vehicle, bring it to Shaw Bills. Let them give it the once-over, and you can always schedule online, so it's convenient. ShawBillsTire.com. Find the location nearest you at ShawBillsTire.com. Shop tires online at ShawBillsTire.com. Be sure to ask about the Shaw Bills credit card as well, because you can save $50 off your first purchase when you use the Shaw Bills credit card only at Shaw Bills.
Is the Big 12 about to change their name? Well, it certainly looks like it. Got some thoughts on naming rights being sold for the Big 12. We'll get to here momentarily. And also some of the proposed names are just horrible, so I have thoughts on that as well. That's next on AFR.
AFR.
Hey, Gordon, and get it done. Gordon McKernan, injury attorneys. You've been injured in an accident. It's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for more than 30 years. Call Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Just dial the 8s. It was funny. Your last hour, we had Pat McAvoy here from Rocco's, the Jello Shot Challenge. Of course, last year, Gordon went super viral when he bought 8,888 Jello shots. Of course, if you're calling Gordon, you're calling the 8s. 888-8888, 888-8888. You can always go to getgordon.com. Gordon's done a great job, man, supporting not only student athletes through his many different NIL initiatives with the G team, but I love how much Gordon gives back. You know, Gordon Gives, the website GordonGives.com, you could read about all the initiatives, the charitable initiatives that Gordon and his team are involved in to make our communities a better place. It's one of the great things that I love to be a part of the G team as well because of the many, many ways Gordon supports the community. So go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com. You know what to do. Get Gordon and get it done.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
After further review with Matt
Always a
Moscona.
pleasure to tell you about our friends at the Williamson Eye Center. Check them out online at williamsoneye.com. They've got locations all over the greater Baton Rouge area. On the Baton Rouge General Campus, I mean, you turn off a Bluebonnet onto Picardy, you make that right, and then right there at the stop sign, the building on the right, the first 2 floors, that's the Williamson Eye Center. State-of-the-art dry eye center, and it's full service. Of course, they have their state-of-the-art surgery center there where you can have your LASIK or whatever surgical procedure you're having, but they have your standard annual eye exam as well at the Williamson Eye Center. Learn more at williamsoneye.com. The thing I tell you every day is take the advice that I was given and change your life. To give yourself the gift of sight is absolutely incredible. If you're someone like me who spent your life with contacts or glasses, there is a way to be done with it forever. williamsoneye.com. Go see Dr. Blake Williamson for that free consultation. 924-2020. 924-2020 or williamsoneye.com for the Williamson Eye Center.
All right, revenue streams have always been a massive deal in college sports. I mean, it's part of the reason you are where you are right now with NIL and paying the players and sharing revenue and all of those things. And because of that, they've never been bigger, and finding new ways to create revenue streams has never been bigger than it is currently in college athletics. And that's completely understood. Great thing. Good. Yes. Pay the kids, all of that. Fine. You've seen innovative ways to get new revenue stream. Whether it was years ago when they were able to sell naming rights to stadiums. Now, just last week, the NCAA approves the use of sponsor logos on fields in college athletics, specifically football, as a way for improved revenue. Well, the Big 12 is taking it a step further. And credit their commissioner, Brett Yormark. That guy has been incredibly truthful. Remember when he took the job and he got up there and said, the Big 12 is open for business. Well, he has lived up to that. And the Big 12 has found a potential way to add another revenue stream. And that is selling naming rights to their league. Before we get into the names, which are horrendous, by the way, I have thoughts on that, on their, strategy with this. And I think it's great. I think this shows incredible forward thinking by a guy like Brett Yormark. By all means, do this. I mean, for what it's worth, Brett McMurphy's the guy at Action Network. He's the guy who had the report that Allstate was the company that the Big 12 is really working with right now to try and get this done. And a multi-year deal could earn the league between $30 and $50 million annually to be divided among the 16 schools in the conference. When you look at the Big 12, void of brands like it is, it's never going to get the TV deal that the SEC or the Big Ten would. It's never going to match revenue just solely there because it's void of brands. They need another way. They need an innovative way to gain $30 or $50 million to split among their school. This is a way to do it. Yes, do it by all means. I think it's a great idea. So great, Conference USA is joining in. That was first reported by Ross Dellinger, that Conference USA is in discussions with company, most notably Globe Life, for a naming rights deal. Same thing, by all means. Their names are significantly better, by the way. Do it. But you just have to understand one thing. None of us are going to call it anything other than the Big 12. It's still going to be the Big 12. If for no other reason than these names are just horrible. And there's a lot of holes you can poke in this, right? So Allstate's the company that they're in negotiations with, and there's no timeline on when this is set to be complete. There's no, no guarantee that it goes into effect for 2024 or whatnot. But here are some of the proposed names. And the funniest part of all of this is the part they're dropping is big. They're just replacing big with Allstate. So you have the Allstate 12 Conference, which, by the way, wouldn't this be the perfect opportunity to change the number to 16? Like, when you were adding teams, it made sense to just leave it as is. You don't want to confuse anybody. I mean, the Pac-10 did change from the Pac-10 to the Pac-12, but the Big 10 had 11 teams for the longest time. They still were the Big 10. The Big 12, they still were the Big 12. The brand was the brand. You didn't want to change it. I get it, but now you're changing the name. Wouldn't it make sense to change the number too, since you have 16 teams? I don't know, but they're dead set on big being replaced or staying in there, because you also have Big All-State Conference, which is equally as terrible. The All-State 12 is one equally as bad. That's my point. Like, by all means, do it, but I'm not calling it that. This is Twitter and X. That's what this is. No one calls it X. Everyone still calls it Twitter, and they should. Everyone still calls it a tweet. Tweet this. I tweeted this. Tweet at the show. Tweet it. Everyone refers to it as that because that's what the brand was. You want to rebrand? You want it to go under that umbrella? Fine. It's going to bring in revenue? Fine. No one's calling it that, nor should anybody call it that. The names are awful. Now, look, I don't really know where you go to improve a name, to make a better name. That's not my job. I'm not here to offer you suggestions on that. I'm just here to tell you, yes, go make your money, but I'm not calling your conference what you want me to because the name's terrible. And if you come up with something better, sure. But also there's the habit part of it. It's the Big 12. It'll always be the Big 12. And change the number. If you're going to change the name, change the number. Make it, I don't know, the All-State Athletics 16. That right there is immediately better than anything else that they have suggested. Maybe I am here to give you options. For what it's worth, Conference USA said they're doing this too. They're with Globe Life. Some of their name possibilities. Globe Life Conference USA, not terrible, but we're still just going to call it Conference USA. Globe Life Conference. Not awful, but sounds like something that Globe Life hosts as a company yearly rather than a group of football teams. The very interesting thing is, what could the SEC do? And I know, Alondra, you brought up during break that what did you bring up?
I saw a tweet, not an X.
Correct.
That said that the SEC's sponsor should be Waffle House.
Yes, it should. 100% on board for that.
I am on board with it too.
And you know what? I'd call it that.
The Waffle House conference?
I would call it that. I'm not going to do it for the Big 12. I would, just because Waffle House is far and away cooler than All-State.
100%.
Like, far and away cooler.
Yeah.
Paul hates Waffle House. We found that out during the break, too.
Waffle House. He was yelling at us about it. It's crazy.
Paul was yelling. Paul was yelling about Waffle House.
He was like, are y'all stupid?
Yeah. I couldn't believe it.
He was being really aggressive.
I was like, it's fantastic. It's great. I love it.
It is.
But yeah, I'm here for that.
But his thing about it is that it's dirty. And we're like, yeah, it's Waffle House. What do you want?
That's like, part of the charm.
You want it to be clean?
You'll have fun there.
That's part of.
We will.
Paul hates Waffle House.
We will have fun there.
The Waffle
Without
House
you.
Southeastern Conference.
I like it.
I love it. I think that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you got the All-Star Breakfast. There's so many plays you could do instead of the
so true.
Instead of the All SEC team, you could have the Waffle House All-Star team.
Yep.
The All-Star the All-Conference Waffle House team, but with the play on the All-Star Breakfast. It's great.
If they're hiring somebody to name these conferences, I know someone. Matt Musso.
I mean, I kind of said I wasn't going to do that, but I've kind of already improved.
No, that
on
one that
all of these.
That one that you said, what was it? All-State something.
The All-State Athletic 12.
Way better.
Or 16.
Yeah.
The All-State Athletic 16.
Yeah. I did a
That's better.
when you said it. Yeah, I was
it's
like,
not perfect. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's the best name ever. It's not. It's still bad, but it's better than what they did.
I agree.
And look, and the thing is, I'm cool with it. I understand that no one's going to call it that anyway.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to call it the Big 12 because it's the Big 12, and it always will be. Yes, it was the Big 8, whatever. They moved on, created a better brand. It's the Big 12, and that's what it will be. But I'm all for the Waffle House Southeastern Conference.
Oh, 100%.
Like,
I'm on board.
They could cater media days. There's so many positives to this.
Yeah. I don't see any negatives so far in my head.
Press box lunch is taken care of at the SEC Football Championship. It's all there.
And it's Waffle House.
It's Waffle House.
I
mean, it's the game's in Atlanta. There's a big Waffle House population in Atlanta.
That's true.
A lot of Waffle Houses in Atlanta.
That or like you said Whataburger.
Yeah.
Whataburger would be
You might have to move some stuff to Florida for that though, because I feel like
Yeah.
you can't go past any block in Florida and not hit a Waffle House. Or Texas, same thing in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for it. All right. Make it happen. The Waffle House SEC to join the All-State Athletic 12 and Globe Life Conference USA. Let's just make a bunch of money for everybody. We're going to grab a break. Come back on the other side. Tigers and the Pros closes out hour number 2 of AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Darren James and Associates, brokered by LPT Realty. Every home listed by every company, all in one place. You know where to find them. Agent225.com. Agent225.com. Talking to all y'all over in Lafayette as well in the 337. Darren James has an office over in Lafayette. If you need to sell your home in the 337, you need Darren James. The number 1 realtor in the state of Louisiana, the number 14 realtor in America on the Wall Street Journal's Real Trends list of the top 1% of realtors in America. That came out just a couple of weeks ago. I'm so proud, so fired up for Darren. I've told you for years that he's the best. And Darren has a way of making you feel like, despite all the volume he does, that you are his only client. He's exceptional at the entire process of communicating throughout and getting you results. Number 14 in America on the transaction side. It's Darren James. 335-7666 or agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
Brought to you by Evermore, all natural, great tasting water. When you uncap a bottle of Evermore, that's the first time the product touches air. It's incredible. It's a natural well. It's natural artesian water. It's a well. It's on the North Shore. I went to their bottling facility. When you pull up on the left, you'll see the well is right there. They've drilled deep into the earth. They pipe it out right into their filters and their filtration system. Nothing is added. Nothing is extracted. It is completely pure from the earth water. So if you want a healthier option, if you want a healthier lifestyle, something healthier for your children, maybe you're an athlete that wants a superior form of hydration, Evermore, EVAMOR. If you notice, go to their website, you'll see Dak Prescott is one of their chief spokespeople. I mean, starting NFL quarterback is vouching for it. Check it out at great local retailers or order on their website at EVAMOR.com, Evermore.com, Evermore.com.
All right, wrapping up hour number 2 of AFR Tigers in the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
We got carried away with the Waffle House conversation. Went a little long. Josh Smith is where we'll start for Tigers in the Pros. Good night for Smitty with the Rangers. 2 for 4, a couple singles in the ballgame. Average of 290, so knocking right back on the door of 300. And the Rangers got themselves a W in that one. Slow night at the plate for DJ LeMahieu with the Yankees last night. They dominated the Royals, though. 0 for 4 was DJ in the ballgame. Put the ball in play each of the 4 times, though, so that's positive. And Jake Fraley joined DJ LeMahieu in wearing the collar last night, 0 for 4. He did punch out once, but the Reds got the win. Tonight in Major League Baseball, Aaron Nola on the bump against the Boston Red Sox. This is always a very tough day for me. It's one of the games where I just hope Boston wins like 1-0. I hope, and the run comes against the bullpen. Like Aaron Nola, 8 shutout innings, and then a walk-off in the ninth. That's what we're going for. But anyway, Nola will be on the bump. 8-2 on the year, 2.77 ERA, 76 punch-outs, and 84 in the third innings pitched, going for win number 9 tonight against the Bo Sox, and looking to strengthen an already strong all-star case for Aaron Nola. U.S. Open underway at Pinehurst, number 2. 5 unders leading the tournament, and I think that stinks. Sam Burns went 3 over par. He actually played it like a U.S. Open supposed to be played. Got off to a rough start, went out in 39, started his day on the back 9, but played significantly better coming in on the front. 1 under there over the 34, did birdie the par 5 fifth. So Sam 3 over par, 8 shots off the lead after round number 1. That is Tigers in the pros. That just about puts a button on hour number 2 here of a Thursday edition of AFR. Plenty more still to come in hour number 3. Ben Mintz is going to be with us to start hour number 3 right at the top of the hour. Spend a couple segments with Mincy. Actually, we'll give you our picks, obviously, for the College World Series. Update the standings of our season-long race. Matt will be idle again this week since he's not here. So Matt will just be on a bye week, I guess. And Mincy and I will give you some plays. We'll also look at the field, kind of recap the Super Regionals as well. It was a great week, and I know Mincy was texting me earlier. I know he's got some thoughts, and he's got some futures that he's pretty excited about too, going strong here in the World Series. So Mincy will be with us next after Sports Center, and of course Otter Blocks. A little bit of gambling content there in the third hour. So that's all next on AFR.
AFR. For the last 3.5 years, I've told you, do business with someone you know. And that's still the case. It's just we've got a new company. It's Parish Construction and Roofing. But it's all still the same people. It's me, it's Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley and Joe Morales, all the way down to Christina in our office, who when you call, that's who you talk to, and the same friendly crews that come actually do the work at your home. It's our same team. We just started a new company, Parish Construction and Roofing. You can give us a shout. We even have the same number, 364-1007, 364-1007, or parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Roof repairs, roof replacements, from the smallest residential repair to the largest commercial roof replacement. We do it all, and we do it friendly with a smile, and we are here. We are local. We are Parish Construction and Roofing. Do business with someone you know. Parishbuilt.com. That's parishbuilt.com.
When things heat up, you don't just want a cold one. You want the coldest one. The cold lagered, cold filtered, cold packaged one. Mountain Cold Refreshment. Coors Light. Choose chill.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Late in the first round of the U.S. Open today, Patrick Cantlay is the leader at 5 under. He's one ahead of Bryson DeChambeau and Ludwig Oberg. Tiger Woods shot a 74 today, 9 shots back. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reports J.J. Redick will interview for the Lakers head coaching job this weekend. R.J. Williams says this could be a tough first coaching job for Redick.
Do you have the type of clout in the locker room because you're coming off doing a podcast with LeBron? Are these your thoughts, or are these the thoughts of LeBron? What happens in the first moment, coming to a huddle, and I'm playing, LeBron says, no, we're not going to do that. And LeBron draws a play. He does that all the time. Like, how does that affect the way other players look at you as a head coach? That's what I worry about.
Jay Williams on Greeny. The Lakers were turned down 3 days ago by UConn coach Dan Hurley. Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight in Edmonton, 8 Eastern on ABC, with the Panthers holding a 2-0 series lead over the Oilers. And the NHL's relocated team in Salt Lake City will be known as Utah Hockey Club for its first season. A fan vote to name the team officially is continuing.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive can help you protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, and RV, and more. And if something wasn't mentioned that you had in mind, find out if it can be covered at Progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE, because it probably can be.
From Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
Hour number 3 off and running of After Further Review. Musso in for Moscona here on this Thursday. Alondra Villarreal along for the ride. Paul O'Neill as well. Glad to have you with us here too. 2 hours in the books, 1 more to go, and it's jam-packed. A lot of y'all been asking for some College World Series talk. We got that coming for you right now. College World Series gets underway in Omaha tomorrow at 1 p.m. Central Time. North Carolina and Virginia open up the 2024 College World Series. We've been doing it all season long, giving some college baseball picks for the weekend. Thought, can't just end it with the final, or the second to last weekend, I guess, of college baseball. So we welcome on our guy, Ben Mintz from Barstool Sports. Mintzy, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. I was laughing overhearing y'all's talk on that break. And, I'm just chilling here. Yeah, I messed up. I should have gone to my building has an awesome pool and hot tub. I should have gone and given y'all that as the backdrop instead of my bedroom. But glad to be here as always, talking to baseball with you. Look, super excited for the College World Series. Kind of feels weird, obviously no LSU or Ole Miss or Mississippi State, some of the usual team, making it, but still a great College World Series. I think the fact that, it's 4 SEC, 4 ACC, all like pretty big programs. It's a lot to be excited about.
Yeah, look, on your setup, I think you're actually doing it right. Now, the pool would have been very relaxing, but I don't blame you for being in your bed. Like, I wish I was in my bed right now, actually. So hat tip actually to you there, Mincy. I will agree with you on that. I was going to ask you if you liked the kind of SEC ACC challenge that we have going on here. It's the first time in the history of the 8-team event that only 2 conferences have been represented, and it's the 2 that should be. I mean, they were the 2 best leagues all year round, and they've got 2 of the hottest teams that we're going to get to as well in NC State and Florida. But I do kind of want just like a broad takeaway from you on the Supers, because there was a lot that went down in Super Regional weekend, whether it was Evansville pushing Tennessee, NC State on the road, the whole fiasco that went down in Clemson with Florida and Clemson. Give me a few big takeaways for you, Mincy, from the Super Regional round.
You mentioned, I think you could do a whole segment on Florida Clemson game too. Because I spent my entire Sunday afternoon from 1:30 to 6:45 p.m. watching that game. And that game alone, I mean, it had it all. You had just disastrous umpire play. You had the Jack Caglione, the Clemson kid getting kicked out for running out of the dugout. Clemson's coach and their old bench coach getting tossed when the Clemson got slammed down his bat with the homer. You had the Willie Mays catch, the dude running against the wall. That would have been one of the best catches. If they would have come back and made it to Omaha, we'd be talking about that catch forever to save their season. I mean, that game had it all. So I thought that was one of the most entertaining college baseball games I've ever seen. I thought NC State, Georgia was it was interesting because it was 2 blowouts, kind of like we saw with LSU, Florida last year in the title game. But that was a really fun game on Monday night where NC State just showed a lot of mettle. Every time Georgia kept coming back, NC State hit homers in 6th, 7th, and 8th to extend it. I was really happy, not just from a selfish standpoint, but I like the 4 SEC. The 4 SEC, 4 ACC is good. Like, if Georgia would have won, that one half of the bracket would have been Hoover with Georgia, Kentucky, Florida, and A&M. And so I thought it was really good that NC State won it. You mentioned Tennessee, Evansville pushing them. Look, you got to give the Aces a lot of credit. They're the story of this tournament. It's kind of like St. Peter's did in basketball a couple years ago. To win a game at Tennessee and win that regional in Greenville, which is not an easy place to play. You're a Missouri Valley school. You got to give them a ton of credit, even if they got blown out in that final game. And then I also just want to mention the atmosphere in Lexington, Kentucky, because I think Big Blue Nation is going to take over Omaha. They've never been. They hadn't made the final. They hadn't gotten past the Sweet 16 since 2019 in basketball. They've been selling out that new park. I bet Kentucky is going to be the fan base that's all over Omaha this week. Watch out for that.
They're definitely hungry for something. I mean, they had a send-off for the team and all that. I mean, they've really embraced Nick Migione in that club, and they should. Look, Kentucky, everyone was really surprised last year to see them in the Super Regionals, and they're kind of just – they bounced back, were even better, and everybody was still surprised, and they were like, why? Why are you surprised? So, yeah, they're hungry for something there, obviously, in Lexington. I agree. I think it's not that long of a trip, obviously, for them either. So I agree. I think they will definitely show up. I do want to talk to you about NC State a little bit more. You mentioned the back half of that game against Georgia on Monday night when they, the home runs, just every time they extend the lead, something when Georgia would answer. The thing that stuck out to me most, though, because NC State's offense, really good. What they were able to do on the mound in massive tipping points of that ball game. I think it was in the 5th inning. The bases are loaded, and Charlie Condon's coming up to the plate. They go to the bullpen, bring in a freshman. The kid puts 3 sliders past Charlie Condon in that spot. Like, at that moment, I'm like, okay, NC State's, like, they can't lose this game now because that's the tipping point of it. How you feel about your Wolfpack, Mincy? Because you got a great future ticket on them. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm pumped. I got them DraftKings 35-1, but man, I'll be honest with you. So this is like probably my second biggest sports feature I've ever made. I mean, I went heavy on them, and so I mean, I'm looking at a 5-figure win if they somehow win this thing. And so I'm really, really into it. When I look at their team, look, they don't have any first-round picks, but they have 3 really strong bullpen arms. All 3 of their starters may not be like elite aces, but they're all pretty good. And when you watch them hit, whoever their hitting coach is, their approach at the plate is awesome. They don't strike out. They spray line drives everywhere. They put the ball in play. They put pressure on the defense. And, I just kind of feel like they're just an overall complete team. And the biggest thing in baseball, and you know this too, I mean, we saw it with Ole Miss 2 years ago, they're hot, baby. I mean, they were like 500 in early April, and then they won 2 out of 3 at UVA. They won series against Clemson, North Carolina. They swept Wake Forest. I mean, they are freaking hot at the right time. And so you just never know in baseball. And I like the fact they got that deep bullpen. And I love the story of the coach because everybody knows how bad they got screwed by COVID 3 years ago. And Coach Avett, 68 years old, this is probably his last Omaha trip. So there's kind of, that to me is the best story in this tournament, them coming back with vengeance.
They are definitely the feel-good story. And was it 13 players they had in 2021? They wanted to play the game. Like they were, I don't care. Like we'll go out there and play. And they weren't allowed to. And it soured that. And so to see them back, and there's some guys that were on that team that are still there. And they're going to have, like you talk about a presence in Omaha, that's going to be a presence in Omaha too with NC State. I do believe so. I'm fired up to see them as well. And you and I were talking earlier. The bracket might actually fall good, well for them. A&M is going to be without Montgomery, without Shane Sadeo on the mound. Kentucky is interesting because they're kind of like NC State. They're a real complete team. But Florida, man, Florida's just as hot.
Yeah, Florida's doing the Ole Miss thing. They were the last team in the tournament. I'm switching it up. I was trying to give you all my background, my Chicago skyline background out of my 32nd floor window here in Chicago. But the Florida thing is fascinating because this is Ole Miss 2022 all over again. They're the last team in at 28 and 27. They were top 5 preseason like Ole Miss was, and then they just kind of are getting hot. But they pitched so many freshmen this year, and it seems like those kids have become sophomores now. They got really tested in SEC, and man, when I look at that Florida A&M matchup, you just said it. A&M's the most overvalued team in Omaha. They're like plus 330 to win the title, which is a joke with the Braden Montgomery thing and the other injury. And Ryan Prager's a good pitcher, they're ace, but it's not like they have an elite staff. And then when you look at Omaha, you watch college baseball all year, and it's a different game. It's 408 to center. The wind blows in. Balls that are home runs all year don't even make the warning track in Omaha. And so these teams that are so reliant on the home run are at a little bit of a disadvantage here. And I don't know. I don't think A&M's really designed to do that well in Omaha.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to watch if obviously it didn't happen in the Super Regional against Oregon, but if teams can neutralize Jace Laviolette now without Braden Montgomery hitting behind him. I mean, that's just because they had the whole Tommy White, Dylan Cruz thing going on that LSU did, where it was just like, to have those two guys hitting behind each other in the lineup is ridiculous. It's a crazy advantage that you just don't see in college baseball. You don't have that anymore. Oregon wasn't good enough to take advantage of it, but Florida definitely could be. And that's a rematch from opening weekend of conference play, and Florida won that series at home. So that's intriguing as well. What do you like in the first bracket, Mincy? And then we'll take a break, come back and make our picks. But the first, the top bracket with Tennessee and UVA and that group of teams.
So I think that bracket is like twice as difficult as the other one. That first bracket, that's UVA, UNC, Tennessee, and Florida State, is loaded. And we'll touch on this Tennessee-Florida State thing. Jamie Arnold's the best starting pitcher left.
Yeah.
He throws mid to high 90s, lefty for Florida State. There's a chance he could shut down Tennessee and put Tennessee in the loser's bracket, and then all heck could break loose in that bracket. The team to watch to me is North Carolina. I feel like, obviously LSU saw they kind of showed that like they could win those grinded out, tough, low-scoring games, which is what Omaha is a lot. And that Sprague, that lefty that pitched against LSU's got that really good changeup. He'll be going against Virginia, I believe, on Friday. But I like that Carolina team. Vance Honeycutt, y'all obviously saw it. You could argue he's been the best player in the tournament. And if Florida State does beat Tennessee in game one, I think Carolina could have a really good path maybe to making the championship.
That bracket's going to be really interesting, and you're right. You could make an argument that Tennessee and North Carolina have been two of the best teams, the two best teams in the country all year. They each won one of the best leagues. So, you can make that argument about them. And yes, Vance Honeycutt is true 5-tool guy. He defend, hit, throw, run. He can do it all. So hit with power. He's awesome. All right, Mincy, let's take a break. Come back and we'll do our more traditional segment. We'll give our picks. Do we want to do? We only have 4 games. How do we?
Let's just pick them all, man.
Okay.
Let's make one pick. Let's make one pick for all of them. And then we can run through the odds to win the title and give some thoughts on that too.
I like that because some of our snake drafts are still alive as well. All right, we'll do that. We'll break, come back with Mincy, and we'll make our picks. It's a Thursday edition of AFR. Stick around.
AFR.
Man, we have been thrilled to be partnered with Rouse's. Rouse's is the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Of course, they wish the Saints good luck tonight. Who dat, as always. But remember, Rouse's, a great family-owned business that has grown to almost unimaginable heights as they've expanded here. You know, they've been in business for 100 years, been helping you make groceries for 60 of those years. It's a great opportunity, man, to get by Rouse's for whatever it is you're looking for. You want to swing by, pick up dinner tonight for the family? Rouse's. Everybody wants something different? No worries. If you want, fried chicken and French fries, they got it. If you want sushi, they got it. If you want a grab and go, sort of Asian bowl, like I love their teriyaki, their chicken and beef fried rice teriyaki bowls. They're awesome. You want to buy something there at the seafood market, you can do it at Rouse's. Throw a tuna steak on the grill at the house, whatever it is. You want to get some ice cold beer, some fine and fun wines, they got it at Rouse's. The official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints, Rouse's. This feels like home.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
We're brought to you by Optimize. Go to generatorpeople.com, generatorpeople.com. You want a Generac automatic home standby generator? Let me rephrase. Of course you do. So why should you go with Optimize? 2 reasons. Number 1, the affordability. They have financing options to fit any budget, and you get your upfront quote price, meaning whatever they quote you on site. It's not like they're going to come back later and there's going to be fees and install fees and techs and no. Whatever that number is that they quote you, boom, that's it. Turnkey installation. When they're done, it is ready to roll if the power goes out. Number 2, that's all they do at Optimize. They're not a business, an electrical business that does 10 different things. They do one thing. They sell, service, and install Generac automatic home standby generators. They got 4 locations across the 10-12 corridor. So it doesn't matter if you're in Lake Charles, Slidell, or any point in between. They are Louisiana's #1 Generac dealer. Optimize. Go to generatorpeople.com. Easy website, generatorpeople.com.
All right, back here on a Thursday edition of AFR. We are now rejoined by Ben Mintz, Barstool Sports on Twitter, @StoolMincy. Our guy, been with us all college baseball season. We've been making some college baseball picks. Spent the first segment of the hour kind of looking at Omaha and the deep dive and things of that nature. We'll make some picks here in this one. Mincy, are you making a trip to Omaha at all?
Man, I'm actually not. I thought I was going to swing it, but we have the Dozen Trivia Tournament, which is a huge thing in our company, in the office Monday. And so I would have only been able to go Friday, Saturday. And you know this too. There ain't nothing convenient about getting to Omaha, Nebraska on opening weekend. I mean, it is just flights, hotels. Like I talked to Barstool, the flights were like insane. And so, it's the first one I've gone the last 3 years, but I was only going to be able to do the first 2 days. And so with everything, I mean, can't book them all. But we have my building. We're going to bring the Omaha to Chicago. We have a hot tub pool with flat screens and couches and grills. So we're going to just sit out there and watch it.
That's not a bad way to take it in. That's for sure. All right. So we have 4 games, opening round. We're going to give a pick on all 4 of them. Paulie, our graphic, can we look at the standings updated here? Let's see. So, Mincy, we let Moscona go 3-0 again.
I got to give him credit.
No, we can't give him – no, that's what he wants. He wants the credit. We can't give him the credit.
Yeah, well, I mean, he just I don't know, man. He did pretty good this year.
3-0 again last week for Scone. He's 23-9-1. I went 1-2, so I'm 15-18. That's not great. Mincy 2-1, hovering there at 500 at 18-18. But we can't catch him, but we can at least improve our own lot here going through 4 games. Let's get started. Hit the open for me, Alondra.
It's time to cash some tickets. Let's preview the college baseball weekend with Ben Mintz and Barstool Sports, presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook.
All right, Mincy, let's just take them in order. Virginia and North Carolina. You are ahead of me in the standings, so I'll let you go first.
All right, so this one's interesting, and as always, we're on the DraftKings Sportsbook. North Carolina's minus $1.35, over under 12. 2 of the top teams in ACC, very familiar with each other. While I think Carolina's the better team, and I like their pitching more, I'm actually going to go under 12 here, because I've seen these Carolina postseason 4-3 games, the way they've been playing this postseason. And this is one of those things with Omaha being not the best ballpark for higher scoring games. So I kind of feel like this is going to be a 4-3 or 5-4 kind of game. So I'm going to go under 12 here.
I like that play a lot. This is an interesting one for me because I've been very high on North Carolina throughout this entire thing. A lot of people here were picking LSU to come out of Chapel Hill. I did not pick LSU to come out of Chapel Hill because I was so high on North Carolina. They lost 2 series in the ACC this year. One of them was to Virginia. So there's some rematch here, right? There's some revenge maybe on the mind of the Tar Heels. But I look at Virginia, hot team, like Brian O'Connor as the head coach a lot. And I think they can score the upset here. So I'll take the plus money price. I'll take Virginia on the money line, plus 105 to get their 3rd win over North Carolina this season.
Nice. It's also interesting. Virginia's 10-1 right now on DraftKings with those futures odds, but they're the 2nd longest shot to win the College World Series.
And they are one of just 2 teams that actually has a College World Series title in this field, them in Florida, and both the coaches that won it are still there. The Omaha pedigree, man, that's a real thing, and that's Virginia. 3 out of the last 4 years, they've been to Omaha now. So I think they can get it done there on the money line, plus 105. Mincy had the under in that one. All right, Florida State, Tennessee. Mincy, what we like?
Man, so Tennessee's this line actually has gone down a little bit. I'm seeing Florida State's coming back at plus $1.40. Look, he didn't pitch the best against UConn. He allowed 4 runs in 6 innings. But I love those ace pitchers. And Florida State's got sticks too. So I'm riding Florida State because Arnold, the ace, is throwing. Lefty throws mid to high 90s. I think he can go pitch a heck of a game and get this done for him. and send Tennessee to the losers bracket. And if that happens, this bracket's going to get fascinating in a hurry. We saw Tennessee come out of the losers bracket in Hoover. But I'm taking Florida State plus $1.40 behind their ace.
Do we know who Tennessee's pitching yet? Are they pitching Drew Beam?
I haven't seen it yet.
Because they've been using an opener in game ones here, really for the better part of the SEC schedule. They did it against LSU, and that was in the first half of the season. That's gonna be. I'm curious to see if they move Drew Beam up to match up with Jamie Arnold. So look, I actually don't hate the Florida State play in this game either. But just to be different, so we don't have the same play, I will take Florida State on the run line plus the 1.5. Coming back minus $1.35. It's not the best price, but it's not too much juice either. So I think they can definitely keep it close. They can score just like Tennessee can. Tennessee's one of those teams you mentioned earlier, Mincy, that could be reliant too much on the home run. Going to that ballpark. So I will take Florida State on the run line plus 1.5 minus the $1.35.
I like that with the plus 1.5 because, like I said, these Omaha games are different deals. The over/under is only 10.5, so getting that run and a half means a lot more in those games with with over/unders 10.5, and not 15 or 16. So I actually like that strategy.
Okay, so when we're looking at the second bracket Saturday games, all we have available on DraftKings right now is the money line, but we can end up, run lining it or whatnot. I know we did that a bit last week as well. North Carolina State, Kentucky. Kentucky's your favorite. NC State, kind of the darling in Omaha. Definitely if you're Ben Mintz. How you see it, Mincy?
I'm taking NC State plus 120. Kentucky does have a really good ace in Trey Boozer. He throws 94, 95 with a lot of sink on his ball, so there's movement. So he's been tough to hit. But I just think, like I said, NC State's hot. I like the way they make contact. They'll put the ball in play. And you mentioned the Omaha pedigree thing. This is Kentucky's first trip, man.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have some nerves here. I know NC State only has a few players from 3 years ago, but I feel like they're ready for this. So I'm going to take the plus $1.20 in a game that can kind of go either way.
Omaha pedigree for Tennessee as well. They've been there plenty recently in back-to-back trips for the Vols here. So, all right, so he's going NC State. Kind of got to, right? You got your future on. You can't go against. I will go opposite of you on this one. I think NC State has a great chance in this ball game, but we've talked about the park an awful lot. And while the Chuck does play a little bit more honest now that they've juiced the ball, you're still not going to go in there and expect to just hit like 4 homers in a game. Kentucky's a team that can play well in that park with their small ball style, their ability to just manufacture runs, not always with bunts, but with sac flies, with ground balls to the right side or left side of the infield, depending on where your runners are. I like that ability for Kentucky, and I like Poozer over Sam Highfill in the ball game as well. So I will take Kentucky on the money line minus $1.45 in that one. And then the final game of the opening round, we talked about it a little bit in the last segment, the Florida Gators and A&M. A&M is a large favorite. They're the biggest favorite on the board here in the opening round, minus $1.95 on the money line.
Yeah, now I'm going Florida here. I think Florida should be plus 120 or 130, and they're coming back at plus almost 160. They're throwing that freshman Liam that, pitched well down the stretch. But like I said it earlier, I just think A&M, for how hyped up they are and how big of favorites they are, they're the most vulnerable team in this field. And I think this is a game that could go either way. So give me the plus 155.
It's going to be an interesting one. It reminds me an awful lot of the first game we picked with NC State, with Virginia and North Carolina. It's the rematch. Florida took out A&M in the regular season. Can they do it again? Florida's hot. They are on fire. The lineup is just absolutely mashing the baseball right now. And that was always going to be Florida's strength, as we've touched on all the freshmen that they've had in the bullpen and in the rotation, just on the staff in general. I like Florida in this game as well. But again, to be different, I'll go run line. We don't have the run line yet, but I would imagine it's going to be probably 1.5 in this ball game. So I would imagine Florida will be plus 1.5 in this one. So I will take the Gators on the run line against Texas A&M. So whenever you see that pop up, that's what we're going with in that one.
Yeah. One thing about Florida, too, is that Neely kid that's their closer. Man, they can put him in the 7th and he can end games sometimes. And that's a huge edge in the College World Series. I don't know. I was impressed by what I saw from him so far in this tournament. Now, obviously, he was the closer last year too.
Yeah, he's filthy. I'll be very glad when I don't have to watch LSU face him ever again. Which we shouldn't have to. He should be gone after the draft. All right, Mincy, our snake draft. Who do we have left? So you obviously have NC State.
I have Tennessee and NC State.
You got two.
So I'm feeling pretty good.
Okay, so I have Kentucky left, and I think Scone only has A&M. None of us took Virginia, Florida State, North Carolina, or Florida. So Scone's out on the. Well, he's got A&M. You're in the best position here, and then you said you also had a future on Florida, right? But they're not. They weren't part of our snake.
Small.
Okay.
I took Florida at 30-1, or it was 30 or 25-1 after they won their regional, but that's not the big one. NC State's the big one.
All right, so that's where we stand in our winners. So I kind of have to ride Kentucky. I don't think Kentucky's going to win the national championship, but they're the team that I have left in the snake draft. So I'll ride with Kentucky. Mincy's in the best spot, though, with Tennessee and NC State. Those are our picks for the College World Series. Mincy, what you got coming up this the rest of this weekend and week coming up at Barstool?
So my big stretch is coming up. So I'm chilling watching College World Series and U.S. Open all weekend. I'm going to try to go see Trombone Shorty at this outdoor venue Wednesday night just to support the NOLA on the road in Chicago. Next weekend, I am what I am, but I always go to Red Rocks one weekend every summer, and I'm going next Saturday, Sunday for Panic. And then the most fun thing I've got coming, my dad turned 75 in August.
Oh, shout out.
And he was a huge Rolling Stones fan. So him, my sister, my brother-in-law, and me are going to Soldier Field Rolling Stones for his 75th birthday.
Wait a minute, Mincy, you're seeing the Stones twice in
let's
2 months?
And then I'm not even done. So then Saturday, I fought to Vegas for the World Series of Poker for 12 days, play the World Series main, a bunch of stuff, and then I'm going to see Dead at the Sphere July 4th. So let's go, boys. It's going to be a great summer.
It's going to be, there we go. Didn't you go to the Sphere already, though?
Yeah. I saw Fish. But, for July 4th, gotta see the Dead.
Well, what'd you
it's
think,
going to be fun. I'm really excited about the poker stuff, though. I've got a couple of warm-up events before, but I'm excited for the World Series main. And, I've kind of had some momentum since last November. I've been a little hot at the table. And so I'm hoping that can translate. Hopefully NC State does something here, and then we'll really be able to find.
There you go. Yeah, the Destroyer. He's back and ready to go. I love it, man. I love it.
Chicago summer, man. Obviously y'all are sweating down there. So it's like mid to high 70s with a breeze every day here and no humidity. I know we suffer in the winter.
I was about to say,
man, this Chicago summer, it's every bit. Believe the hype on it.
I was about to say, talk to me in December, Mincy, when it's 70 degrees down here and you're in a parka.
It's rough.
Yeah, and the wind. No thanks on that. All right, Mincy. Well, look, we'll get you back for the championship series, obviously here next week. Next week on AFR, and we'll give our final picks on the college baseball season. Appreciate it as always.
Let's make sure Matt texts in picks for the 4 games too to keep up.
Yeah, we'll do. Absolutely, man. I'll get on the horn with him and make sure he does that. All right, man.
All right, thank y'all for having me. I love coming on. I say it all the time. I've been coming on ESPN Baton Rouge since 2017. I worked down there for a whole 3 months, but just love my relationship with y'all. And so, anytime you need me, I'm always happy to be part of it. Today, and October 12th, night game, Ole Miss LSU. It'll be a serious deal.
That's my sister's birthday. All right, Mincy. I know you'll be down here for that, so we'll catch you then. Ben Mintz, Barstool Sports. Been with us every week here during college baseball season to give you all some picks. Those are our plays for college for the College World Series opening round. We will grab a break, come back on the other side. The NFL wants you to believe they're serious about tampering. They're not. We'll talk about that next on AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Clegg's Nursery, 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area, Siega near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Don Moore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Buy local, shop local. Y'all, the weather is gorgeous. Spring is here. The 100-degree temps are around the corner, but not here yet. It's a great opportunity. Get a little exercise. Get a little vitamin D from the sunshine. Get out in your yard and just plant something. Clegg's can make it happen. If you need mulch or soil, they got it. Bag, bulk, no problem. If you need plants or flowers to plant, they got it. Pop a color into those patio pots or your flower beds. Clegg's can help because they have shipments arriving daily. They got a great selection and great prices and the most helpful staff. I can't imagine why you'd go anywhere else. They're convenient because they're strategically located all over town, so you're near a Clegg's no matter where you are in the greater Baton Rouge area. Their prices are great. Their people are the most friendly. Par for the course when you've been doing it for 6 decades. It's Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you to Clegg's Nursery.
Value Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
Quick reminder about Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com. lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. They're the best. If you are, gentlemen, thinking about popping the question and you're thinking about where am I going to go buy that diamond, I want you to consider this. There are places that will sell you man-made lab diamonds, but what are you buying? It's according to its makeup and characteristics, sure, diamond. But is it going to hold its value? Like, is that the way you want to say, I love you, I want to spend the rest of my life with you? Go to Lee Michaels. Go to Lee Michaels. Walk in the door. Experience the thing I talk about all the time, which is the Lee Michaels experience. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry with 10 locations. Baton Rouge, 2 locations in Baton Rouge. New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport, Mississippi, Texas as well. 10 locations across 3 states. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Thrill her, gentlemen. Thrill her with a gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry.
Another good one. Another good song. Great one, as a matter of fact.
I was about to say it's a great song.
It's a great song. Yep. Got a beach trip coming up. Started kind of working on the playlist. Make one every year for like just the group that goes down to the beach.
Spotify or Apple?
Apple.
Okay, good. I can send you some stuff.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, no, I take plenty of requests. I take a lot of pride in my playlist making. I like a very wide variety of music. I can really craft some interesting stuff there. Yeah. That one's definitely on there. Like that one's on there for sure. Yeah. Every year. There are certain songs that are just staples of it that you just go to last year's and add it to this one. That is one of them.
Any Creed?
Not anything against Creed. I love Creed. I mean, big into some dad rock there. There is Nickelback on it from time to time, of course.
It has to be.
But I mean,
No Doubt. Gwen Stefani. No.
It took you to 5:40 to bring that up, and I'm really surprised. So Alondra hates me because I don't like Gwen Stefani.
It's a terrible take.
It's not. She annoys me.
For why? Give me one good reason
just
why.
Just because. It's like her presence.
Exactly.
Her mere presence just annoys me. I don't know why.
You don't know why. So there's no valid reason for you to. So it's terrible. It's a terrible take.
She still annoys me. Yeah, I don't know. I don't care for her music. And just her general vibe. It annoys me. I don't know. It's just but I'm surprised. Like I fully expected No Doubt or Gwen Stefani at some point during the show.
I thought about playing it the whole show. Like just come back with a No Doubt or Gwen Stefani song after every single break. And I was like, I'm not going to do that to you.
Yeah, don't
because I'm a nice person.
Don't do that. You're probably going to do it tomorrow, but but yeah. So that's definitely the Iris. Yeah, Iris is the staple for sure. That's gotta go on there. Sunny in 75 by Joe Nichols, a staple every year. It's a quintessential beach song. Yeah. I mean, it's just fantastic. There's a lot of Jimmy Buffett, of course, as well. Some Train.
Beach music.
Beach. Tom Petty. A lot of Tom Petty normally goes on there. There's a few staples from him that go on there every year.
They're like, so when we would go to the beach, it was always like Van Halen.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Motley Crue.
See, last year there was Panama was on there for sure. Jump, I think was on there. I might have had Right Now on there too. I'm not sure, but yeah, there's definitely some Van Halen. I mean, it's normally a mix of I leave the rap off.
Yeah.
Just because it's the beach and it's public place. There's kids around and stuff. So it's normally a solid mix of country, classic rock, and I guess alternative. I mean, would you classify like Goo Goo Dolls alternative?
Yeah.
Like because there's Goo Goo Dolls, Train. Oh gosh, I'm blank. I'm totally blanking. Better Than Ezra or whatever. Like you played Good earlier. That's a staple. That's on there. King of New Orleans always on there. Like yeah. And then there's just the newer music from the last beach trip that I've listened to through like new releases that go on there within the staples. Yeah. It's solid, man. I actually got to start like making it because we leave.
I'll help you out
Saturday. Yeah. I think last year my brother-in-law sent me this long note from his phone of just like requests. I was like, yeah, y'all do that. My sister, she'll always just tell me in passing, you need to put this on the beach playlist. I'm like, yeah, I probably do.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to remember because it's January and the trip's not till June and you're telling me this and you're not going to write it down. I'm not going to remember that.
Text me it.
Yeah, text it. Yeah. Just drop it in a text, whatever. I can go back and search it. All right. Anyway, we're supposed to talk about the NFL. But I'd actually much rather talk about vacation because I'm ready to be on vacation. We got a little ways to go there. All right. So another time when I was filling in for Matt, not too long ago, we talked about the tampering allegations against the Atlanta Falcons when with the signing of Kirk Cousins, Darnell Mooney, and Charlie Warner. And it took forever for the NFL to pass down sanctions on this because that's what they do. They just pass down sanctions on tampering, and none of them are ever serious. It is just, I don't want to say none of them, but rarely is it ever serious. It's such a slap on the wrist. It's like they do it simply because they have to do it. You know what it reminds me of? You know the scene in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the original one, not the terrible remakes that they've made, the original one with Gene Wilder, when, one of the kids, they're going off to do something they shouldn't, and he just stands there and goes, no, stop, don't, wait. That's the NFL handling sanctions for tampering. They have to say, out of obligation, hey, please don't do this. But they don't really care. The Falcons tampered with not one, not two, but 3 players. And let me be clear, I don't care either. Like, I think the whole thing's stupid. You know it happens. It's not like if you legalized it, it would happen any more rampant than it already does. You have a legal tampering period. Just make it a thing. So I actually don't care. What I care about, what actually kind of fires me up, is their stupid, no, please don't wait, when they hand out sanctions over it that aren't actually going to prevent teams from doing it. So Atlanta, not one, not two, but 3 players they tamper with. They lose a 5th-round draft pick in 2025. Oh, the horror. The organization is fined $250,000. Oh, the horror. They can't afford that. And then GM Terry Fontenot is fined an additional $50,000 for himself. Oh, the horror. So a 5th-round draft pick and a total of $300K for tampering with 3 players. The only time the tampering sanction was even remotely serious from the NFL was the Miami Dolphins when they tampered with Tom Brady and Sean Payton. And they lost a 1st-round draft pick. But there were also other things going on between the Dolphins and the NFL at that time that maybe they wanted to make a little bit of an example. But if you actually wanted to take tampering seriously, if you were the NFL and you actually wanted to prevent it, which they don't, 1st-round draft pick would be the floor of what you penalized a team. That would actually get somebody's attention. But when you've done it one time throughout all of this and it was to the Miami Dolphins you kind of already had beef with, no one cares. And no one's going to stop. So keep doing your Willy Wonka thing. No, please don't help police murder. Everyone will keep tampering, especially since you have a legal tampering period. And they'll give up a 5th-round draft pick that they could end up getting back anyway when it comes to the compensatory picks. Take it serious or don't. Just don't act like you take it serious because we all know you don't. And quite frankly, you shouldn't. Who did the Falcons hurt in doing this? Now it sounds like I'm sticking up for the Falcons. What the hell is going on? But what harm did this do to anybody? Everyone else could have contacted, Kirk Cousins earlier, just like the Falcons did. It's just stupid. Does it really impact competitive balance that much? Like, seriously, does it? It can't, because if it did, then they'd take it more seriously. So the Falcons lost $300K and a 5th-round draft pick. Now we'll see if they can actually go win the division with Kirk Cousins. All right, we're going to grab a break, our final break of the show. Come back on the other side. Wrap it up with Otter Locks. Find out what we're betting on tonight from Jimmy. I'm sure it'll be plenty of baseball as the finals are now back in hiatus, waiting for game number 4. Why they have to have 2 days in between games, I'll never understand. That's why it takes a month. And just for the finals, not the playoffs. But we'll get get a check-in on our consensus golf picks as well from Jimmy. He gave out a few of those yesterday as well, and the U.S. Open Round 1 is obviously underway. Otter Locks is next to close out Thursday's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Action Industries. Maintenance managers, turnaround coordinators, looking to hire someone to come do work in your plant, in your refinery. You get that proposal across your desk from Action Industries, make sure you take a long, hard look. Because my friends over at Action Industries are just awesome. They're awesome people, and they're a great local business that's been serving our community since 1982. So 42 years. Listen, there are some enormous industrial contractors. They're great companies, great businesses. But do you ever feel like your 100-person job isn't the most important thing to that mega company, that mega contractor? Well, with Action Industries, you would be their number one priority. You are getting all of their best people. And Action Industries, their safety record beats the industry standard. And look, the quality of their work is why they keep getting hired time and time again for into 5 decades now. It's Action Industries. Check them out online. Action Industries, proud partner of LSU Athletics.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Brack teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered.
Further review with Matt Moscona.
Brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. You know, when we talk about Relief Windows every day, I always say windows, doors, siding, and now shutters as well. They do your indoor shutters. Same thing as the windows. Custom made, measured to fit your windows, custom fit for your windows, lifetime warranty on your windows, your shutters. But Brandon, you often hear say their number one product is customer satisfaction. And that's not just a catchy line. That's not a cliche phrase. Have an experience with Relief Windows and you'll understand. They go to the ends of the earth to make sure their customers are thrilled with the work they do. As a matter of fact, Relief Windows never takes $1 from you. You will not, no deposit, no down payment. They take all the risk. They will not take $1 until you're thrilled with the work they do. Who else does that? Only Relief Windows. Check them out online at reliefwindows.com.
All right, final segment here on AFR. We're having a little bit of trouble hooking up with the Otter here, trying to get you some Otter Locks plays there. But while we wait, what I can do is I can tell you a couple things that we do have coming up for tomorrow that are pretty exciting here on AFR. So I'm in for Matt again tomorrow. Matt will be back on Monday. But one thing that's exciting, we talked a lot about the transfer portal, the LSU baseball earlier in the show, and tomorrow on AFR, the newest transfer portal commit, right-handed pitcher Zach Cohen, is going to join the show. So I'm fired up actually to have that conversation with Zach. Talk to him about, one of the things that fascinates me about him so much is the transition he made from shortstop to starting pitcher. And just kind of how that went in the recruiting process, the transition itself, and obviously, why jump in the portal, why LSU, role, Jay Johnson, all those types of things. So fired up, actually, to have that conversation tomorrow. I believe that's at 4:15. Let me double check. Yes, so tomorrow, 4:15, now LSU right-handed pitcher Zach Cohen will be with us on AFR. So, set a reminder. Be here for that. So, because that should be a fantastic conversation. Excuse me. And I mean, of course, outside of that, we'll have a lot of talk with the Saints and things of that nature that obviously will come through as well. Do we? I think we have some action over there with Otter. All right, let's welcome him on, Jimmy Ott for Otter Locks. Otter, how you doing?
What's up, Musso? How you doing, buddy?
We're rolling, man. Finishing up a Thursday show.
Where's Matt?
Matt, they had to take Drew to one of his annual doctor's appointments, so he's
there. You go.
Yeah,
good,
he's
good.
back on Monday. What are we looking at tonight, Otter?
Well, the Yankees we hit last night, but they lost on the last out. They have a 1 out away from sweeping a 4-game set. Gave up a 2-out 2-run double to the Royals, but we a lot of afternoon action. Colucci and I talked today on our show. Okay, we love the Panthers. The Panthers have been
1 minute remaining.
There's no doubt we're still on them for the series. But tonight, kind of like Dallas when they got up last night for about 15 in the first quarter before things settled down, this is Edmonton's chance to win. So Edmonton today in the first. And tomorrow, 1 o'clock, first pitch for North Carolina. Modest line we could give it. They won the ACC by multiple games. Going North Carolina minus the 145.
All right, so we got the Oilers on the money line tonight and the Tar Heels tomorrow in Omaha. And y'all are at Rufino's?
Yes, indeed. We'll be at Rufino's tomorrow.
All right, y'all get by and see the guys. Thank you, Otter.
All right, thank you, Moose.
Live at lunch tomorrow, 11 to 1 here from Rufino's on our airwaves, and it's appreciated always with Otter. The Oilers on the money line, North Carolina on the money line tomorrow in Omaha. That's going to wrap it up for us here on a Thursday edition of AFR. Thank you to Alondra. Thank you to Paul. Thank you to all of you for tuning in. We're back with more on AFR tomorrow on Friday.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Supper Club. You book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com. One of the things about Supper Club that I love is if you want to go to Supper Club and be a baller, you can do it. You want to go to Supper Club and order a $5,000 bottle of Chateau Lafite Rothschild, you can do it. You want to go have $400 shots of cognac, you can do it. You can have experiences at Supper Club that usually are reserved for Las Vegas and New York and Paris and Abu Dhabi. Like, that's here in Baton Rouge. But the thing you got to remember as well, if you want to go to Supper Club and have the best steak of your life and have a few appetizers, a dessert, bottle of wine, you can do it as affordably as any other restaurant in town. But the experience at Supper Club is unmatched. Introduced open seating at the bar, first come, first serve. So if you knock off of work, you want to head by Supper Club, you can walk in without a reservation, see if you can grab a bar stool or a table by the bar as well. Have a great dinner, maybe cocktail, close some business. Book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz